Hello, and welcome to the Trap Tunnel videos for Plankerton AFK Endurance. We're going to be building the trap tunnels for the Storm Shield here, the main home base, and covering, well, there's only one direction to build for, thankfully. It is just the north direction, because we have an amplifier up there, whether it's B there, or if you place one over there. A up there, that blocks the spawn for there. And then we've got all those ones up there, so there's no spawn over here, thankfully. It's nice and simple. If you are, new in Plankerton, then I do have old videos on how to build for these directions. But yeah, we're just going to be covering this direction. So, there's going to be spawns all the way back here, stretching quite wide. So what we have a lot of room to work with here. How we're going to do it is sort of make like a main tunnel forward, and then a few spanning to the sides. That way we can sort of split them into 3 groups that'll meet at the end, which will meet around about here. So we'll have like the main one going forward and then one going, like this, all the way up to here. And then similarly here, we will zigzag up to here. Now that we've got our entrances, well, we do want to continue this bit forward, so we'll just do that here. But now that we've got this bit built, we need to block off the other sides, because obviously, they're spawning up here, they could just walk right down the side, go straight to the home base. We want to force them to go into our tunnels, so what we can do is just build a bunch of walls over here, including here, and then, whoops, I just want to edit the cone. If we pre-edit the cone, we can just build these nice and quickly behind these. So what we're doing here is the same trick we've done in Stonewood, just building the cone facing opposite to the home base. The reason being that it stops them from wanting to break through more than just a flat, stairs behind wood, because the angle means that they would have to break through this one to be able to get to that, or go left or right. They can't just break through and then go to the side. So that's the reason for that. Now, if we go well, we can build this bit here as well. So we want walls there, and then, as I said, we're going to repeat over here. But we want to mirror this, so we want to edit the other corner up, because we want them to be, forced away from the home shield. Home shield? Storm shield? Home base? We'll just merge the words, who cares? So now that we've got those built, that will take care of those. For these bits here, we're gonna need a little bit of extra potential blocking, so we can do this, and this, just like that. That's going to stop them from wanting to come in anyway. And then basically over here, we're just doing the mirror image of that. So if we do that diagonal, and then again just block these fully up, because we don't want them getting in anywhere. Now, over here, we have a tendency for enemies to try break through. So what we want to do is, we'd ordinarily put a floor here and put like a ceiling zap, but because this ground's so awkward, what we can do is go up to there and put a tar pit. That's not a tar pit, it's a tire drop trap. And then, we could also put something there if we wanted, or, however you want to go about it, but we can put a trap on here and a trap on there, and that will kill any of the enemies that are trying to get in there. You could even put one here as well, if you really wanted to make sure they're not getting in either of these. But they really try getting that side as opposed to anything else. So that's why we're putting them there. Now, we've got all the blockades done. So what we're going to do now is just sort of build this through as a zigzag all the way down till we get to this point. Do the same at this side. So we want to zigzag, ziggity-zag these enemies all the way down. Then we have our main entrance down here. So obviously you can see we're sort of merging these at this point. We want to close off these again, because we can put even more traps on these. And then this main entrance, what we're going to do is we're just going to zigzag them as well. So it doesn't really matter which side you go for here. Whether you let them come through this one or that one. And again here, it doesn't really matter. You can flip this if you want. You can flap it. You can do whatever the hell you want. I think they are more spawning on this bit as opposed to here. So what I want to do is make the entrance this side. So, you know, here instead of here, because I think they're going to spawn over there, and then they'll come through and do their zigzagging all the way to this point. And I mean, at this point, nothing's going to be here, right? You know, we're in Plankerton. The enemies are really low level. They're not going to make it this far anyway. So in this bit, you don't really need to do anything fancy. What you can do is put walls here, because then we can put some more broadsides on just as the sort of last, you know, bit. But we can leave this bit open, because if we do block it, the enemies will see that, you know, they have to break through something to get here. So they'll be more liable to wanting to try break through one of the edges. So if we leave this bit open, they will freely come through our trap tunnels, not giving a damn about any of the damage, and it's free real estate for us, basically. So that is the reason we do that. Now, at this point, I will do maximum damage. So we're going to put gas traps under these. Again, I don't think anything's going to make it to this point, but, you know, just in case, the off chance that they do, I put that in the wrong place. Go back up here. Now, what we're going to do is just basically build a ceiling over the entire thing, but raised. Now, the reason we're raising it is because we're going to be using tire traps and zap traps. The reason being, so for tire traps, the reason we use tire traps is because they have impact and knock the enemies back. Now, these are beautiful for the start of trap tunnels, because we can knock them back out of the trap tunnels, and they have to get hit by traps again. You know, we're recycling all of our traps effectively by doing that. And then as we come further in, let's say to here, if I can get up, we have electric fields. Now, the reason we use electric fields here is because they do actually go further than one block down. And the beauty of the electric field is, if we have one there, for example, it'll get set off by enemies there, but it will also, the one here will zap all the enemies in this area. Now, the way we've cleverly built these tunnels is, you know, they're zigzagging and they're all near each other. So these traps are all going to apply to multiple different areas. So what you can do if you want as well is you can actually build this bit closed and this bit closed. You probably don't need to go further than that, because if I put one here, this one's only going to affect that area, and we don't really need to go that overboard. I just realized there's no wall there. We want a wall there. Did I do that at the other side? I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll check that out just to make sure we put a wall there. Yeah, it looks like we've got the walls here. But yeah, there's no point doing it at this level. But this one here that I've just placed, you can see is above a bit where the enemies aren't actually going to be. But this one will affect that side and that side. So that's the reason we're putting them down. Now, at this point, that is everything we need to build. That's it, really. There's no real flanking routes they can take. The only thing you might be a bit cautious about is this bit over here. You could put an extra blockage on top like that if you want. I don't think you'll need it, but that's up to you if you want to go all out or not. You don't really get as much trouble at this side, I think, because of the water. They're a bit afraid of that because, I don't know, they're just scared of water. But as I said, over here, this is the most important part of the blockage to stop the flanking, that sort of thing. Now, before we level this up and put traps on, what we want to do is just add a little bit of extra stuff in here. So what we're going to do is just give the enemies a bit of an extra pathing to go down. That's the best way I can describe it. So before I put these down, the enemies could just sort of, you know, come this real short direction here. Not really getting damaged by traps as much, but with these here, they are instead going to have to weave all the way around like this. Now, it's a little bit risky because smashers tend to sort of see this extra effort and sometimes charge, but with the directness of this path, the chargers are fine with it, thank God. So on these side entrances where it's already naturally zigzagging, it's a bit less important about, you know, adding the extra stuff to make them go a certain direction. So yeah, it's up to you how you want to do it. It might just be useful to add the odd one here and there, like just this, to make it so they have to go all the way to here, and then as they come through, they have to go again all the way to here. It's probably enough just to do two like that. You don't have to go as overboard as the central bit. And in fact, with the central bit, we might get rid of the front and back ones, just to avoid the smashers from... We don't want to tempt them into smashing, basically, because that would be very scary. And then here we'll do the same sort of thing we did at the other side, so probably just them two. I think that's pretty similar to what we did over here. Yeah, just the two. Should be enough, I think. Just to give them a bit of extra, pathing to do. It's up to you. You can mix things round, you can experiment with it. It's definitely up to you how you want to go about it. I'm just going to swap these round. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're making their path a bit longer and, controlling where they're going a bit more, you'll be good. So now that we've got all the actual walls and stuff down, we can go ahead and level all this up. I will show you the perks you want to use for your traps, and then we will show the actual placement of where the traps need to go. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you are enjoying the video, please do let me know in the comments. But also, I am on the Supporter Creator program, so if you could please use my code CAMIG, and be sure to subscribe as well to get all future videos. Thank you so much. The anti-air trap 1 range on there for durability. Ceiling drop trap, so we're going for a crit build on this one as well. Ceiling electric field, we're going for a crit build once again, you know it. Floor freeze trap, so for this one we've got 2 impact and knockback. Floor launcher, so for whacking all the impact and knockback on there. Tar pit trap, so for this one I like to go for full durability. Wall darts, another crit build, another all-rounder build. The wall dynamo trap, so for this one I've gone for energy. Wall launcher, so for this one we've got 3 impact and knockback. Wall lights, so another 3 impact, 2 reload speed. Wall spikes here, we've gone for crit build, so 2 crit rating, 2 crit damage. Wooden floor spikes, so crit build on this one, that's pretty much... Alright, so now that you've got it all leveled up, I mean, you don't have to, you can just put the traps on when it's level 1, it's up to you. I find it easier to level them up before putting the traps on, because it can be a pain sometimes afterwards. Now that you've done that, we can start putting some of the traps down. So we'll start with the outside, because we want to cover basically how... the enemies are going to be blocked from being able to flank, that sort of thing. So starting over here, we want a tire drop trap. Now it is worth noting in Plankerton, you see how the trap's gone to 116. So 4-star traps are level 106. Here, like these ones, these are 4-star. So it's still worth putting down 5-star 130 traps if you have them. If you don't have them, or you don't have loads of them, you want to save them for Canny and Twine, then use 106. It'll do the job, good enough. Then on this, well, on pretty much all of these, we want to put some healing spikes. The reason being is that it will obviously heal the walls if they are being smacked. Over here, you can continue it down, all the way down. I think this side isn't as much of a worry. And if you really want to, you can put extra roofs here and put electric field traps, but I don't think it would be necessary for that. Now, as we go in, we want more tire traps at the beginning of the trap tunnels. Make sure you're facing away from, well, face the way that the husks will come in, because the tire traps will knock them backwards. So we want it in the first phase here, because as we come in, we want, the enemies to get knocked backwards. And then we'll do another one there as well in the first 2 areas. Same here, we'll put it here. And then as they come to here, we want to be facing that direction to make sure they get knocked back here, to which then we'll make them get knocked back. Then over here, once again, as with the left side, we'll place them both facing this way to keep knocking them back out of the tunnels. Then after that, I think pretty much everywhere we want to do zap traps, because it's going to affect the most areas. So for the rest of these ceilings, we'll go ahead and put ceiling electric field traps, even over the places where they won't be walking. As we said before, it will still affect the husks around it, so it's worth putting them absolutely everywhere. And then at the end here, I think it's worth putting gas traps. But as I said, I don't think anything's going to make it this point. If anything, it will be smashers. And if they do make it to this point, they're just going to start smashing the walls as opposed to, damaging your base. So it doesn't really matter for that. Then we'll go to the floor traps. So as they come into the tunnels, I think it would be good to use floor spikes. to start doing some damage. The reason being, as the entrance being the best place for this, is because if they do get knocked back out, they can come through again and get damaged again. So over here, we'll do the same thing in the very first slot. We'll put spikes. Then after that, we want some ice traps. So for these ones, make sure you're facing again the way the husks would be coming in, all the way down to there. Then if we make our way to the mirrored side, so over here, similarly, place these as they would be looking as they come in. And then at the very end here in these ones, what we're going to do is put tar pit traps. So spam this everywhere on these ones. The reason being is, you know, for whatever case it might be, whether it is smashes or something just miraculously went wrong with the UFO, whatever it might be, these traps will stop any husks that get here. Husks, smashes, whatever it is, it will stop them right in their tracks, and the traps will deal with them. You know, the damage traps on the walls, for example. Then in the middle, we'll go ahead and continue with the freeze traps. So make sure you're facing the way the husks would get there once again. Place these in those directions. And that is all of those traps done. Now, going back to the entrance to these tunnels, what we want to do is, for the first sort of 2 blocks, we want to use wall launchers. The reason being is because the very first ones that might make it past these, we want to knock them here and then knock them back out the tunnels so that they can get damaged by everything once again. So we'll do the same here. We're going to put a wall launcher there. We could put one here. Yeah, we'll put one there as well. It's not overly important that it needs to be on that second one as well. The main one is this one to get them to get knocked out. The reason being is because if this one goes off and then this one knocks back an enemy here and this one's recharging, the enemy might just walk past, you know. So it's not as important for this one, but we still want to put it there. Then at the very beginning of the trap tunnels, what we're going to do is just put a bit of a stun. So if we get some stun traps here, I'm thinking some light traps. Whereabouts are they? There they are. As we go in, same... Actually, no, we're not going to put one there on that one. We'll leave it just as it is. And then here we can put one. And then on the other side, we will put broadsides. So I'm going to use 133. You don't need to use my full top level ones for that. And then for the rest of the slots, we're going to put broadside traps. Repeat it with me. What's the reason? Because we have 2 walls looking at each other. When we have that, unless we're pushing stuff back, broadside is the way to go. These cannonballs are going to ping back and forward loads and damage the enemies absolutely loads. The only thing that's a bit annoying is, you know, using these to control them might make the cannonballs bounce in a slightly different direction than we might like, but they are still absolutely the best trap to use for this situation, especially if you use my Endurance hero loadout build. We are going to be increasing cannonball damage with that, and that's going to make these trap tunnels way more effective than any other trap tunnels you could build or see out there on the tubes. Now, as we go through here, again, just spam broadside traps in here. Absolutely everywhere. Get them in there. Even here. The good thing about these is they do actually apply impact, so they will stun enemies as they come in. Hence why I put them there instead of the wall lights. Then for the few here, we can use wall darts to finish off anything that does make it this far. Obviously, we don't have walls behind these, so there's no point using broadside traps because the wall darts will do more damage in a one-hit sort of environment. And that covers it for all the traps. There you go. You're going to be able to AFK this thing so easy, and to thank me, what you're going to do is leave a like, comment that you love me and the videos, and make sure you subscribe, because I'll be doing this for every area in Save the World and for every amplifier. At Amplifier A, obviously this might be a different letter for you, but this is the south amplifier, just to the south of the home base, as you can see on the map. Now, I have 2 spawns for this. Again, this could be different depending on where you place your amplifiers. So there is an amplifier over there, which is the southeast one. So if you have one placed there, you won't have a spawn here, but I do, so we'll build that in the next one. But you will, if you have this one placed, I believe it is a forced place, this one. So we'll definitely have this direction. Everyone should have this direction. But for the south, they do spawn around about this area down here. Quite a wide spawn. So there's a few ways they can try get up to the amplifier. So as you may have noticed, there is this ramp here, which is sort of a side direction up this ramp. So the ones that spawn over here are probably going to want to go down there. So what we'll need to do is block off that, obviously that flank. But the main thing we're going to go for is letting the enemies come up this ramp here, straight towards the amplifier. Plenty of room to do damage here. You know, we're in Plankerton. It's really not too difficult to do enough damage. The main thing is that endurance. Because there are less amplifiers, they get attacked a bit more. So we can start by blocking off some of the flanks here. So as I say, they spawn down here. Now there is a flanking route here they could take, so we'll just block this off. If you are seeing that this isn't enough, you know, you can just place a bit extra, like this. And then you can do the grid method behind, as we have in the past. Basically, all we're doing is just pointing these cones towards where they would come up. The one on top of the ramp you can just place as a flat cone. You could edit it, you know, in a certain direction if you want, but the flat cone will work fine. And then that should cover this flank. If you are seeing any more, you know, aggression, you can block this ramp here off, but you should be okay. As I say, it is just Plankerton, you know, you're not really going to see too much heat. We need to block this ramp here, which is just next to where they will be going towards the amplifier. Again, put a cone on top. And if you do see any, you know, enemies trying to break through here, you can just, again, add more blockage at the top. I don't think you would need to add cones behind this. I really don't think you would need it, because at this point, when the enemies are here, you can block that side as well, actually. But when the enemies are here, it's a pretty straight shot to the amplifier. You know, they're not really going to want to go flanking round. We will have traps in this area anyway as well, so it will block them, you know, from trying to do anything there. So this ramp here is quite wide. So what we're going to do is bring them up the sides and then bring them forward here. So what we will do is block off this center one, like so. You might not need the cone on top, but we're going to add it on top anyway. And then as they come up the ramp, we can do some damage. Now, the thing you might want to do here is add a bit more blockage to this. Get that faced that way. That should be plenty, and then we've got this bit blocked off as well. The reason being is we're bringing them up here. We don't want them to want to break out to this side or up that ramp, for example. But the beauty of this is we can add a wall launch on here, send them back out. You could even move this further back if you wanted. So what we will do is we will have ceilings here, which will go over the spawn. If we get rid of that wall as well. Now, what we can do is have the wall there instead, because we're going to be putting wall darts on these walls to hit them as they come up the ramp. So it can be quite far away, and then the further away it is, the further the husks can go when they're hit with the wall launcher. So that's the reasoning for that. And then you're going to want, well, we've got the walls built for it, but just a note here, you're going to want sound traps on these as we go up. But, you know, I'll cover that when we place the traps. So, yeah, the spawn's quite wide, so you can go pretty far back with this. And because we are in Plankerton, you know, there's fewer amplifiers to build for. We don't need as much structures remaining for the other builds, so we can go pretty extended with this. And it's also going to act as a lobber shield. So down here, for example, we want to cover a bit of it. And we'll cover over here. Reason being is flingers and lobbers could go down here and then aim at the amplifier. So this acts as a shield for that. While we're over here, we can go ahead and block off this other ramp that I mentioned earlier. So we're just going to stop them here. Edit my cone to be normal again. Block from the bottom. I wanted to avoid placing an extra wall, but it did it anyway. And then, you know, again, if you see any sort of aggression at the bottom of the ramp, just add extra, you know, like this, for example. Add extra blockage. I think it should be fine without it. But what you can do anyway is you could extend these ceilings round if you wanted, or just put a ceiling here, for example, with, you know, damage traps on. Probably want to block the side of that ramp as well. You know, as I say, you can put ceilings here to block that, but we will probably block the bottom of this anyway, or from here block it, because we don't want enemies that spawn down here to be able to wander off wherever they please, because they could go here, aim at the amplifier, for example. So what we'd want to do is block them from being able to do that. Now, where you do that from is up to you, but I think from up here is the best way to do it. So if we just do that, like so, then the only places they can spawn is in this courtyard. This acts as an extra blocker for this ramp, so you probably don't need all this. You could just leave that one on, just in case. But yeah, they don't spawn any further down than this, so we should be fine. And then, as I say, for the ceiling, if you really want to, you could extend this over one more. From here, I don't think they can get an angle because we have blocked it. But if you do notice them being able to get an angle, because, you know, things change or whatever it may be, please just, you know, add that. Now, once more for here, you can add these ceilings. This will cover this ramp. You're probably going to put a wall on the side of that as well, meaning that we can add, you know, drop traps on this to affect stuff that might try break through there. There is another way up over here, so we're just going to block this. It's quite a lot of flanking routes in Plankerton, which is what really messes you up on Endurance. You know, if enemies can find a flanking route or even just one flinger, because the waves go on for so long once you get to a certain point, it really messes you up. So we wanted to go over the top with these and really block every single ramp here. So this is just next to that one. And then if you really want, you can just add a wall there just to stop anything from being able to get through. As I say, the main thing here is stopping enemies from being able to flank round. So adding that stuff stops that from happening. And then you could put a ceiling over that if you needed to. I think wall darts would be wooden wall spikes would be enough. So I'm going to leave that at that. And then for here, you can go one further back with this spawn damage if you want. So we're going to do that here. It's up to you how far back you want to go. If you have loads of structures at the end and you wish to place more over the spawn, feel free to go another layer back. Over here, you could add one more. I don't think they can fling from here. But, you know, there's not really any way they can get up. And then this is coming into the territory for the spawn or the other amplifier. But if you wanted to stop them from being able to get up here, you could block these ramps to stop them from, I don't know, standing here. But I really don't think they would or could aim at the amplifier. But we can add anti-air stuff over the amplifier when it gets to that anyway. Right, so that's a lot of stuff. And we've barely even built the, you know, actual trap tunnels here. So let's go ahead and build them. So, as I say, we're going to bring them straight through here like this, right towards the amplifier, like here. And what we can do is this. The reason why we're adding this at the back of the tunnel is it stops smashers from wanting to charge as much, but it also just gives it that extra bit of, you know, structural support. And then the wall here, we can put a wall launcher on. Now, what you can do if you want is when you've brought them to this point, you could block it like so. That means you can put a wall launcher here to send them further back. As I say, there's always multiple ways you can do it. So you could, for example, block them here and then make them go around here and then block them again here and bring them forward. As I say, there's so many different ways you can do trap tunnels in Plankerton. It's a lot more forgiving, obviously, than Twine. Twine is very specific in how you can make it AFK, because it's just a harder area. So, for this area, you could either block this like so, to stop enemies from wanting to break through this wall here. What we're going to do, though, is just leave this open, and we can also do it there as well. We'll hold off for the ceilings for now, because we're going to place ceilings higher up. So that's the reasoning for that. for this, we can do that with the floor. And then over here, as we go towards the amplifier, we'll place walls further away to do walled arts. Then on this, we'll place a floor for extra structural support. And then we'll get our low walls going like this. This one's not too important. You probably don't even need a wall there. That's up to you. We block this corner off with low walls. Same with this one. And then what we can do is add the floor as extra blockage. For this one, I'm actually going to change this real quick to a full wall. The reason being is we can put a wall launcher on this to send them back here, and then they'll get sent back once again. And it also means enemies are less invited to, you know, try break out here, and we can use this space to block like so. Didn't mean to place that one. Stops enemies from wanting to break out the side of the trap tunnels, because we definitely don't want that. Yeah, definitely don't want that. Back here we can get the low walls going. And then what we're going to do at this point is we're just going to allow them to come through. The reason being is if we allow them a gap to get through, I mean, no enemies are going to make it to this point anyway. But the reason being is if we give them a gap that they can walk through, you can even just add like a wall like that to make their trip extra long. But yeah, once if I can get to the reason being before interrupting myself again. The reason being is because if we block it, then enemies are less likely or more likely to want to break out of the trap tunnels to go around to the side or something. Whereas if we give them a nice route where they can just literally walk into the amplifier, they will definitely want to just walk down here and, you know, won't take any unnecessary, you know, routes out or anything like that. Perfect. So at this point, all we need to do is add the ceilings. So what we're going to do is build up like so. Oops. And then the ceilings are going to be high over this. The reason being is tire drop traps are going to knock enemies back as they come through. And then at the sides of the trap tunnels, we can use ceiling electric field to have damage zap inwards. So there's a bit more room for experimentation. So for example, like here, you can add an extra roof. There, ceiling electric field here will zap in. You know, you can go a bit further out with it. Like over here, you can put roofs here because these will zap into the tunnels for the enemies that are walking here. You could even go as far as putting one there if you want. You don't want to go too overboard with it. By that meaning, you know, you don't want to make it so that I'm just going to add a little connection here just to connect those. But yeah, if I can think of words. You need to save structures for your other builds, obviously, but as I say, in Plankerton, we have quite a lot to play with. So it's up to you if you want to strip any of it back. It is pretty over the top, this, for Plankerton. But, you know, these builds are meant also for people who have not gold perks and everything. They might not have full durability on their traps, that type of thing. They might not have Machinist Harper, you know, to have the extra durability on the traps, that type of thing. Now, what we're going to do for the amplifier is we're going to build walls on these outside bits, like so. And then if I can jump up here, probably easier to place it from here. We raise it like this. Like this. Took me a while to decide how I wanted to build the actual build over the amplifier, because, you know, we want to leave it sort of open so that enemies can just walk in through the main tunnel. But at the back here, we want to close it fully off because we don't want enemies to be able to land, say, you know, here from a flinger or whatever and then walk in. So this stops them from being able to do that. Obviously, we're leaving this bit open here so that enemies can walk in. But if we close that side off, it stops any enemies from wanting to flank round and just walk in. So the only bit you want to allow in is here, which means over here we want to block this off. Whether you do it, you know, where you block it's up to you, but I'm going to block it there. And then this build at the top allows us to put anti-air traps or wooden floor spikes. If there are any enemies that do make it in from flingers, it just allows us to deal with that. So that should be everything you need. Obviously, keep an eye out for any update videos as I thoroughly test these afterwards, as updates come out, that type of thing. But yeah, I'll go ahead and level all this metal up, and then we can place the traps, so I will see you very shortly. All right. Now that you've got that stuff leveled up to tier 3, obviously not as important as, say, Twine, but it is still important with certain modifiers and such to, level this stuff up. We can start at the amplifier here. So as I say, I think it's important to have an anti-air trap here. You can put more as well, say, here, just in case. And then on these side ones, what we're going to do is place wooden floor spikes. So place wooden floor spikes. This just means that if any normal husks do land here, they're going to take damage and die before they can break through. Ideally, you'd have like healing on this stuff, just in case, but it help. At the same time, we're not expecting many things to happen. This is just an in case. Yeah. Now, at the objective, we don't need a full durability launcher. We're going to go for the general build launcher, and then you can even put one here if you really want. But as I said, I don't think anything's going to make it to this point. So for the floors, as we go through here, we're going to place tar pit traps pretty much on all of these. For the start here, we will go for wooden floor spikes. And what you can do here as well, if you want, is add, this sort of extender here, or you can go for a thin wall. The thin wall might be better just because they don't have as far to go, and it incentivizes them less to try and break through the walls. So you can add those in if you want, and you can add them in other places, like all the way through this whenever you're going past a wall launcher. I don't think it's overly necessary though. Now on these low walls, we're going to go for our wall dynamos as we go through here. Literally just on the low walls, and that will do it. On this back wall, we can have wall darts. Just doing these as and where I can. Get some broadside traps here, because these walls are facing each other. Here's going to be the wall launcher. On this one, we want a durability one, so make sure you get full durability. Well, I say full durability, but I'll just briefly show you. It's 1 impact, 1 reload, and then 4 durability on that. These walls is where I said you should put sound traps. So I'm just going to use the 130 ones. Forgot to mention at the start, probably should have. I am using 106 traps for this. Oh, that's a 130. You can use 130 and they will be slightly higher level. So if I look at this, it is 106. If I place a wall here real quick and put a 130 on it, it's 116. So you're losing 14 levels. Now it does have 10 more than this, but we're in Plankerton. I think until you get into Canny, I don't think you really need the top level. What you can do here is add another sound trap just as extra, for that. And then under here, you can put a ceiling electric field if you want. It's up to you on that one. That is kind of optional. And then as you come up here, we're going to do broadsides. And then on the ceilings, we want ceiling drop trap as they come up the ramp. We'll do this one as well. Now, for this area, it's up to you how you want to go about this. What I'm going to do is do ceiling drop traps sort of in the center, and anywhere we have a hot spot where they might be trying to break through something, I think the tire drop traps are perfect there. And then at the middle here, we will continue these drop traps. Then for the areas where it's sort of to the side, it's a bit more out of the way, so like these ones over here, we're going to use ceiling electric field. Now, as I say, it's up to you what you want to do here. On the edge ones, as I say, we'll do ceiling electric field. In this area, it is deeper, and I think these only go down 2. So on the remainder ones, that's not wall traps, I want ceiling traps. We will place tire drop traps on the remaining of these. And these also act as mitigation for the walls. As I say, you can add them here if you do see action around here. And you can add wooden wall spikes on these if you want. I don't think you'd need them, but if you want to add those, please feel free. Speaking of wooden wall spikes, down here, we'll go ahead and put one on here, if I can get them. And then on these, add them there. Right, that should cover the spawn stuff, so now we can go back to the main tunnels. Bit all over the place, I appreciate that. Level up these side walls as well over here. Now, this one here wants to be a ceiling electric field, and then as we've got them, we can go ahead and place the rest of them. So as I say, the rule of thumb with the ceiling traps is if it's looking over spawn in the center, or if it's looking over where the enemies will actually be walking, so this entire path, they want to be drop traps, the tire drop traps. So these three would be tire drop traps. Any that are to the side, which basically means if it's not over where the husks will be walking, they want to be ceiling electric fields, because these will zap in to the tunnels and affect them. There's a wall up there that's not fully leveled up. Interesting. So, not that one. Not that one. That's annoyed me a little bit. That one though, this one here, you can see it's not over a place where they've been walking. These two are, and then at the sides at the back here. Now we can place the tire drop traps. So if I get those back out here, we're going to place these all the way down this tunnel. We'll start the other side actually, it's a bit easier. So you want to be facing the amplifier while they place these, effectively. So I'm going to face that way for that one actually. Basically, whatever way you're facing, the enemies will get knocked backwards. So as they come up, you want to basically place it in the direction the enemies would be facing. So I'm just going to do that here. Then as they come here, they'll be facing this way. This will then knock them back here. This one will knock them back, and so on. So just make sure you're placing it in the direction I'm looking, effectively. That should cover all the ceiling traps. If you didn't mess up like I did and it messed up the ceiling. Then all we have left to do is... that's a 130. I want my 106. I should just put them all in storage, really. On these ones where we have, this sort of blocked off, they want to be wall darts. This here wants to be a wall launcher. Full durability on this one, and that one. This one can probably be high impact. And then basically everywhere you have a wall launcher, we're going to place... that's 130 again. Bad habit of Twine. We want broadsides opposite them because they will ping back at... Maybe not this one, obviously, but basically if there's a wall opposite it, it's actually only this one that counts. If you wanted to adjust the build and make this a full wall, for example, you could to get extra broadside damage. Because I do back the broadside as, the best trap in the game. But seeing as though this build isn't really too designed for it, because we've got this extra side damage area stuff, we can't do as much as we would have liked, but that's fine. Right, there you go. I think that's all the traps we need then. Yeah. There you go. Simple as, I guess. I mean, it's been quite long, I'm not going to lie. But that's just because we are, making sure it is fully efficient for absolutely anybody, no matter, how low their perks are and such. So this is the south amplifier. Now we have built the south direction for this. There's a lot of south going on. And now we are onto the east direction. But obviously, if you have an amplifier placed down here, you're not going to get spawn here. Please let me know in the comments if that is your situation and you would like me to build or show general areas of how you would build for that. But we're assuming now that you don't have this placed down. So if you do, feel free to, click off the video. That's fine. I won't be offended. But, I would really appreciate if you did watch it anyway. But, you definitely don't need to. Now, the husks spawn just behind the amplifier and just around the amplifier area, basically. And this is a shared spawn with the B direction. B direction? The amplifier over there. Amplifier B, which is the east amp. As long as you obviously don't have this placed down. So, The traps here are going to be used twice, which is going to really hinder the endurance of it, obviously, but we also don't want to tinker too much with what we're going to be building in this area. So what we're going to do is, for this build, we're going to block them from coming up these two ramps over here. I can just get my cones back to normal. Same with this ramp. Just going to stop them. Now you can add more at the top if you need, and you can even go as far as to put cones behind this, all pointing towards this corner with walls behind them. I don't think you'd need much more though, and then we can just do, you know, this as extra mitigation for that. So the main thing we're going to be going for is getting the husks to come up this ramp here. And then as they come up, we will deal loads of damage to them. We can knock them into rooms at the side. We can do damage from this side, however we want to go about it. And we will be damaging the husks that way. And then at the very top, I've opened this wall here. We will just allow them to go in. So we've covered this flank over here. As I say, you might want to add more protection behind this, but that's fine. Now, something I have built over there is just blocking that ramp to stop enemies from getting on top of this ridge up here. The reason being is flingers and such might get on top to try fling towards the objective. And if we are building a ceiling over the spawn, we don't want them to drop on top of the ceiling. But I can get to that when we get to it. So yeah, the enemies are going to spawn back there. Now, we don't want them to be able to go into this massive area over here, because they could just stand here and lob up to the objective. So we're going to want to block them from getting... we will have walls, you know, covering this area. So all we need to do now is just block this. Now, there is a little ledge there. So what we can do is just put a floor here. And then on this side, we're going to block this anyway, like this. Then what we want to do is just continue this wall across. You can put one there if you want. Doesn't matter too much. And we're just going to bring this wall across here, like that. Now, you can put extra protection behind this. So all I'm going to do for this is just center these like such. In fact, we'll do this one that way. I will just do them all that way. It doesn't really matter. You can have them as straight ramps if you want, or angled. It really doesn't matter that much. And then we're going to do our grid method that we did in Twine and all of the other builds, like this. You probably don't need one here, but I'm just going to put one anyway. And similarly up here, if you want, you can do the same thing. So it would mainly just be this one, right? Because this is high up in the air, like they're not going to be able to get through there. Should you see any resistance to these walls, just add another layer behind, but I really don't think you'll need it. All we need to do now is just have a ceiling over this so they can't fling up. Same for this direction. So we'll build that when we get to, you know, covering the spawn. But for this ramp, I'm actually going to place stuff on the ramps as we go up, which I don't usually do if you've seen my other videos. And then at the top of the ramp, we're going to have a wall here so that we can fling them all the way back down should they get to the top. And that will really, you know, reuse the traps, which will be absolutely beautiful. Then we'll do a wall there. Now for this side, we'll do a low wall like such. And then... it doesn't really matter too much what you do with the floor. I'll probably leave the floor empty. We'll put a wall there, a wall there. Reason being, we can put wall darts on this. You can do it all the way up, to be fair, if you want. But for the main way up, we will probably do something like this. The reason being breaking these is because when we have the wall launcher here, we place a wall, it's going to stop the enemies from flying out. So we're going to leave that open. You could probably put one there. They might also buy into that though. So it's up to you how you want to go about it. What we will probably end up doing is in this top area, we will have ceilings higher up. And then what we can do is, well, we can go without the, you know, the damage there. The wall darts damage. It's only a little bit, but this is way more efficient having a wall launcher here to send them all the way out. And then as we come up here, you might want to avoid doing this because only having a single wall here might have smashers charged through it, for example. So what we might want to do instead is have this fully fortified, and then we can have a wall launcher here, for example. So obviously we're bringing the enemies to the side, to here. We can do wall darts there with that if we want, but I'll probably go for a full wall. Get the floors down, probably do a ramp again. And then at this point we need to block this side, so we'll just do this. And if we get our cones facing inwards like this, it will stop the enemies from being able to break out. Get the grid method going like normally. And then, as I say, this can be a wall launcher again to send them back out. We can have a wall launcher on this one, which will send them here, and then send them back out again. And at the top here, we will allow the enemies to come to the side here, and then this is where they'll go in. So we have this open bit, so the enemies will want to, you know, come up and go around here. So we can just extend their path slightly by doing this. Low wall works as well, you know, like that, or if you want to do that. Either one. I like the tall walls because they look nicer. And then as we bring them here, we'll probably do another wall launcher there to bounce here and there, and then we can just close off this entire bit. Like so. And you could add another, you know, thin wall here, should you like. Perfect. So, the ceilings. Up here, it's up to you. You can do the ceilings at that height and have sort of gas traps, or you can raise them up one from here. Oh god, just saw the light of God then. So yeah, it's up to you. You can put a wall like this and then, you know, have the ceilings this high up. It's up to you. I think I'm gonna go for this height and we'll just do pure damage, and then we'll keep it this height as we go through this area. What we can do is these ceilings at the sides can have ceiling electric fields on them to zap in, which will cover this entire area, including these ones. Probably even put one there if you want, but that's probably a little bit overkill. And then as we come to this part, we need to lower the ceiling to make sure that it will affect, you know, the surrounding area, because the tire drop traps only drop 3 tiles. Now in this area we can again spread these to the side to have more ceiling electric fields, which will only really affect the enemies up here, but that's fine. Then if I can just get back up. For this area, we will just continue this ceiling across. And this is where we're going to cover pretty much the entire spawn, right? So, as I say, from here, we are 2 blocks up here as well. So if you want, you can put ceiling electric fields here. I think that might be a bit overkill, so I'm not going to. But we'll stretch this ceiling around to here. You can even put it all the way around to here as well to cover this. You know, it's up to you whether you want to do that. I don't think they're going to really go for that one as much, so I'm not going to. But this ceiling wants to spread out all this area. As I said before, avoid linking this ceiling too close to, you know, here, for example. If we had it here, the enemies could walk up this ramp all the way up here and then just walk along our trap tunnels. So make sure that's not connected. And then this is now getting into the territory of this direction a bit, so I don't want to go too far with that. So that's why I'm stopping for that direction. Now the corners are a bit finicky, so I think enemies probably could still drop down onto the roof from there. So if you do see issues, get rid of those corner ones. I think it'll be fine because we have blocked the ramp. Probably want to add just a wall to the side of that as well. And you can even go further and, you know, block them from getting up this ramp. What this means is we have less of an issue of them trying to come up and get on the roof, so we can go further to the side. I don't think there's much need to go all the way back here because the spawn is mostly in this central area. So that's up to you. Oops. Oh my goodness. I don't think the enemies can make it onto the roof from there, but just to avoid any issues, I'm going to get rid of that because I am very paranoid about it. Now for this lower area, the ceiling is going to have to be lower down. So what we can do is this one we can do here, and then this can be our start of the ceiling. As I say, this is kind of getting into the realms of the spawn for there. So, you know, I don't want to step on the toes of that build. We can alter it if we need to, but I'm just going to cover this. And ideally we'd want to cover this all the way up to there. So what I'm going to do for this bit is just raise it up. Just so enemies couldn't walk on top. But I mean, if they could walk on top of this roof from here, they'd have got to this amplifier, which, you know, we wouldn't want them to anyway. So, yeah, it's up to you how you want to go about that. But this bit here is mainly just lobber shield, as opposed to the actual traps. Now, this is a lot, obviously. And you can just make another connection here, for example, just to give it more structural support, just in case one wall does go or something. But as you can see, obviously this bit will be covered with Amplifier B, but from anywhere here, they can't lob towards the amplifier. The only place they could go is like over here, which they might be able to get an angle towards the amplifier. So what you can do is just block, you know, this area, like so. That adds as an extra protection for the flanking, you know, to these areas. So, you know, you could build it here instead, or as well, and just get this like this. Cover that. And now they can't do absolutely anything. And we've got traps here that cover all of this area. So if they did try break through here, they'd have traps over them, you know, dealing damage to stop them from breaking through. So as I say, it's a lot. I appreciate that's a lot, especially for Plankerton. But, you know, this is an AFK build. Oh, sorry, we need that open for them to be able to walk up this. But yeah, as I say, it's a lot, but it is an AFK build, so it needs to be a lot. So all I'm doing with these ones is I'm going to put wall launchers on these to send the enemies out into this area where they'll get damaged by the traps again. You know, should they wander up this way. There's not a whole lot more you can do. Like, you can put walls here with traps on if you want to shoot into the spawn. Any walls in this area will get destroyed by the tendrils of the spawn. So, as I said, there's not too much more you can do. You can put a wall here with wall darts on, for example. A wall there with stuff on. It's not overly important what you get up to in this area. The main bit is the ramps going up, right? Which is where we're doing most of the damage. So, you know, you can put extra bits here and there for a bit of extra damage. But in the end, it doesn't matter too much. Like, you could, for example, do that. Have wall darts on. The enemies can walk underneath this, and they will make their way around. So you can do a little bit of extra damage that way. But we really don't want to go too over the top. Like, you can put walls on the way up, because in Plankerton there's fewer amps, so we have more structures per amplifier. So you can go a bit more if you want with that. But yeah, the main part of this build is going to be this area up here, which will kill, you know, all the enemies. So I wouldn't worry about that stuff. So that should be everything you need. Just make sure you've covered all the flanks. And then, yeah, I'll level this stuff up and we can place traps down and such. So I will see you very shortly. Dokily, now that we have that stuff leveled up, we can put the traps down. Something to note real quick is that over there, I just got rid of that extra ceiling that was raised up. I really don't think we need it. They can't aim anything from there. Anyway, should you see any issues though, just put some walls here that will stop them from being able to do anything. But yeah, I just felt like it was a bit pointless. So we'll start near the amplifier for the traps. So if I can get my 106 traps, because we don't really need it higher than that. we're going to go for tar pits on these. Then as we go up the ramps, I'm going to use the floor spikes, and then tar pits on these, and then once again, wooden floor spikes on the ramps and at the bottom here. Now, as I say, make sure you don't put a floor here because they need to be able to get up this ramp here. I think they probably can't get up here, but I don't know how the AI works on a weird corner like that because it's a bit, bit strange. On this bit over here, we're going to put wooden wall spikes with healing on for these, just to make sure that if they did start getting through, that would heal back up. You can put, you know, like wall darts on some of these, but you don't need to do it on all of them. I'd probably just go for that one, and these. Where else can we do wall spikes? This is wall darts, not wall spikes. Probably do one there, and there. On all of these, quite a lot actually. Now that I said, you know, don't do it on too many, but we're gonna do it on a lot. What you can do instead though on some of these is you can get some sound traps going. So probably this one, I'd say maybe get a sound trap going to mitigate those exploders, and then maybe this one right next to the ramp. So this one will cover all the enemies that come from this direction. You could put one there. You could put one on one of these. You know, just use your own discretion, obviously. Everyone's different because the exploders are quite random. The waves are random. So it depends what's going to work best for you. So as I say, you might want to replace, say, this one with a sound trap as well. Or have an extra one around here somewhere. Maybe this one you could have as a sound trap, or even this one, you know, plop one there. Just make sure you have a few around the bottom of the ramp so that the exploders get rid of their canisters before they go up. While we're over here, we can go ahead and put some more wooden wall spikes on with healing. This is a ramp as well, so you probably want to put them on this. It is a bit overkill, I appreciate. It's a lot of extra traps, but we're in Plankerton, so we have plenty of structures, so no need to worry about that. Right, so I'll deal with the rest of this stuff as we go. So probably put one... I'm going to have to break the wall, that's fine. Put one on there, and then I'll probably have to break that one, I guess. And we can do a broadside on that. Then as we come up, broadside on both of these, and then on both of these. We don't need another sound trap, I don't think. The one at the bottom here should act as plenty, I think. And then broadsides on these two. As I said, this one is going to be a wall launcher. Make sure it's a durability one, with 4 durability, 1 reload, 1 impact. We can add a thin wall here to give them extra room to move, and one there as well, just to really reinforce them. You know, having to go further so that they get hit by the wall launcher. More likely to, anyway. As I say, you can use other variations of extra walls. You don't have to use the same that I've done. But yeah, on here we can do dynamo, and then at the back we can do wall darts. Then here we'll have wall darts. As we come through here, we want broadsides on both sides here. There's going to be absolutely massive damage. These are going to have to be replaced to get traps on them. Broadsides on these. Wall launcher here. Just make sure we're getting the durability one again. And then for this one, probably switch to a impact one and an impact one there if you want. I don't think that one is as important though. What you can do here, I didn't mean to make a door. What you can do here if you want is you can have a wall launcher here with a side room. That will give you a bit of extra chance, you know, just in case a smasher got here, a mini boss, whatever it might be. For that case you will need an impact one. So we'll put the high impact one there. For here we will have a broadside. Broadside there and there. In here we'll have broadsides on all 3 sides. The floor, if you have if you have retractable floor spikes, that'll be perfect here. I think I actually have that trap. So what I'll probably do is probably go for like a freeze in here or something, or a tar pit trap to keep them in place. I'll probably go for freeze. Let's use a 130 because I have only 106 made. And then in the ceiling we will do gas trap. I'm blind, couldn't see it. And then throughout this top bit we're going to use gas traps for the ceilings up to there. You could probably actually do that one as a tar pit trap, a tire drop trap. Apologies, I'm having an aneurysm. Just make sure that when you place it down you're facing up the ramp so that the enemies get knocked down the ramp when they get hit by it. So that's all the floors and walls here. So we can carry on with these ceilings then. So as I go through here, the center, as before with the other build, we're putting tire drop traps facing the direction the husks will be moving as we place them to knock them further back, like so. In fact, this one could be that way if you want, it's up to you. Then over here we will do that. This one doesn't really matter as much as you get a bit further back. It's not totally important. This one I'm going to do as well. In fact, we'll place it down after. But as you go around the amplifier, you can place tire drop traps, and then we're getting in sort of this territory of that area now, so we'll just do them that way. For this sort of central one and the edge ones, we'll carry on with tar pit for these. But these ones here, we're going to do as ceiling electric field. These ones are a bit more on the edge, so they can zap into the ones here, and the one above the amplifier, the enemies can't walk in the middle, so they'd never get hit by the tire drop trap, so we'll just put a ceiling electric field that can zap out. And that's most of the ceilings done. We just have this bottom area down here, so this one here can be ceiling electric field. Same there, because they're never going to stand here, so they wouldn't get affected by tire drop trap. We'll go do the rest of those in a second, but we can do these edge ones around here with ceiling electric field, which will zap into enemies as they come up this main trap tunnel. And now all we have to do is the ones down here. So for these we'll do tire drop trap again, if I can get them equipped, facing this way. For this one we're actually going to face this way, because this is going to be for the other amplifier. And then for all these ones down here we will face this way as we place them, because this will act as beneficial for both amplifiers. And then these ones we will face the opposite direction, because these ones we want to knock the enemies away from these walls. But yeah, these ones over here, we're just sort of knocking them into the central area here, because this will mean the most distance for that amplifier and the one we're building for right now. As I say, you can add more walls around here if you wish. So you can place walls at the backs here with wall darts. You can place them here, you know, like these four, if you want. Put wall darts on them. We're going to be having like tunnels and stuff here, so I wouldn't worry about that for now. But yeah, that'll do it then for the amplifier. It's quite a lot. I appreciate that. One thing you might want to do is just place a few more anti-air traps around this sort of area, because we have one on the top and some over those tunnels. You might just want to... Ooh, a ceiling that hasn't been leveled up. You might just want to add, you know, a few around here. They are floor traps, aren't they? Even though they act for the air. That always confuses me. Just like those two or something. You shouldn't really need it. It's just an in case. And working on amplifier B. So this is the east amplifier, just to the east of the home base. And we have 2 spawns for this. So one at the east and one at the north. So we're going to work on the east first. and then we'll do the north. And yeah, let's go ahead and show the spawns for that then. So the spawns are all around this back area down here. You can get some at this bottom area, some at the top, and over this area like this. So there's a few flanking routes, as with the rest of Plankerton. You know, we've got these sort of ramps here. They can also get to the amplifier up this ramp here, so we're going to block this one off and just make them come up this main route. And then up here there's some sideways they could go, you know, climb all the way up here, and they could climb up to here, and you know, this would be a good spot for them to fling, so we'll have to block that off. But as I said, the main tunnel is going to be across here, so we'll bring them through here, and as we do that, we can use wall launchers on here to send them flying down into this area, and then they have to walk all the way back up. As I say, we're going to block this ramp to ensure they can't get to the amplifier this way. So I'm just going to add as much blockage as we can for that. You might also want to just block the top of the ramp to really stop them from being able to get up. Like this, and then we'll just get the grid method, the usual method. I appreciate this is close to the amplifier, but we would be building around it anyway, so don't worry about that. So we block that. Then over here, when we get to this point, we will add a wall launcher here. So behind that, we're going to just need a little bit of reinforcement, like so, and like that. So we'll bring them here. And then from here, we'll just take them forwards towards the amplifier. And then we can put a wall here if we want. Smashers might end up charging this wall, so do be careful with that. But at least if we have that there, we can put a wall launcher on here. An alternative is, if you want, you can get rid of the structure behind that, have the wall there, and then have a ramp behind it, like so, and then have them come to the amplifier like this, which might be more beneficial. Just see what works best for you. As they come through this area, what we can do is this with low walls for a bit of extra damage. Probably don't need that one actually. As I say though, you might get smashers trying to charge this point, but we will have tar pit traps on the floor which will stop them in their tracks anyway. But if you do see pressure from them, obviously you have to change it up to the previous design where we block behind it and just have them go forward here. But we can leave it like this. Now, one other thing you could do here is if you make this a low wall, you can put wall darts at the back. What you can also do here is add a floor behind like that. This will act as an extra layer to stop them from wanting to break through there, get straight to the amplifier. Sadly, you can't do that behind this wall because, you know, they need to walk here. So it's a bit limited in what you could do. But yeah, at this side, we can do the same sort of thing. So have the walls, the wall darts, and then low walls. And then what we'll do is we'll just block this off because we don't want enemies to be wandering around this area, such as flingers, lobbers, that type of thing. And then if you really want, you can have a wall here. But it's not totally necessary because at this point, they should really be dead. So yeah, it's up to you if you want to put that or not. If you did, I'd probably recommend having this one as a full wall to have broadsides on. So that's up to you. Right, so for this up here, we're going to block this fully to really stop the enemies from wanting to come up here. So by that I mean floors at the top and then over the top like this. You can cover the whole thing if you want, it's not super important. What you can do behind these if you want though is, you know, ramps like this with this behind. Probably not necessary to have this wall, but we'll just leave it in anyway. And then on the ones towards the edge of the ramp, you can put cones on top, but it's probably not necessary to be honest, and you probably don't need the outside ones. You can probably do with just these covering the top of the ramp. Another flank over here, so we'll just cover the flanks now I guess. Might as well. Up there, and then just a block here as well to really stop them from wanting to come up here, because obviously from up here they'd be able to target the amplifier, flingers and lobbers and the such. So we need to make sure we block that, and probably block this one as well, just to be on the safe side. You probably won't need as much on that one though, because it is quite out of the way. And then there is a similar ramp over here. So for this, we will do this. This looks very similar to the ramp we covered for A. Pretty sure they just copy and pasted the design for that. So we'll just cover those to ensure that enemies cannot flank around. So from further testing, these block-offs here, I believe, break from spawns. So what I mean by that is the tendrils that land on the ground. I think a spawn gets really close to it, and the walls broke, and then enemies wanted to come up here. I actually had some flingers, lobbers, like standing here and down there, aiming at it, which is so strange. But the lobbers wanted to come up here, and then once they were here, they would target the ceiling traps and the objective. So all we need to do is just add extra protection behind this by doing this, aiming all these cones towards the corner they would come out of, and then we can just add extra walls behind these as well. And then, interestingly enough, when they did break through, regular enemies would actually just come here and then drop into the trap tunnels, instead of just, walking all the way over here to the objective, which is very strange. But what we can do is just add even more here, like so, and probably stop there. You could add walls here if you wanted. I don't think it will add much to the, protection for stopping them wanting to come through. What you can do, though, is add this, and then do that there. Didn't mean to add the top one. But yeah, we can add these walls in as well, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, look, I mean, we've got so much blocking this off now. There should be a full wall there as well, my bad. But yeah, now they won't want to get through. I mean, you can add even more behind this if you really want to, but I think that should be plenty of deterrence. And then if we go back over here, now we realize we can't have healing for the walls on these. But what we can do is just put a ceiling electric field underneath this. This will deal with anything that comes around this area. I mean, we already have these up here, but sadly this one won't zap underneath here. But yeah, if any enemies go underneath, they're going to get hit by this ceiling electric field. You can even go as far as to put a wall there. It might get destroyed by the spawn though. But yeah, this will do enough damage. And then what you can do if you want is put some healing wall spikes on these two walls as well. Now, none of them tried to get through this bit, so that's fine. And we can go ahead with that. So there is another flank to cover around here. So by all these block-offs, they can actually come round, and if they come up this ramp here, which we'll just block off. Just do that. You don't need too much, but basically they'd be able to just walk over here to the amplifier. Now there is this over here, if they're able to come across this bit. So this kind of doubles up as the other side block-offs. But we can build for it now. So effectively all we're going to do is just block like that. Stop anything from getting in there. We can put a wall there as well. You can put some traps around here, but I can cover that with the traps. Right, now over here, you might want to do the same sort of thing. So it's quite out of the way, but what you can do is block this. Like so, and then this ramp. Trying to block this at the bottom comes close to the spawns and might end up getting it destroyed, so what we can do instead is just do that. And then if we just continue these walls across, that'll stop enemies from being able to get round. Yeah. You can even go as far as to put walls behind these. We just basically don't want any enemies to be able to go round the trap tunnels we're building, because if they do, they will be able to aim at the amplifier. Now, it's not as much of an issue in Plankerton as it is in the other areas, but, it's not a non-issue, so we need to stop them from being able to do that. Otherwise, we'd need loads of anti-air traps as opposed to just having a few. So we don't, we obviously don't want that. Now, for this bit, what we can do is if we add thin wall here, because we'll have a wall launcher here. You can do it in this area as well, but it's probably not as necessary. But what we can do is have it here, like this. You probably don't need it on too many of them, because say they get knocked here, down to here, they'll probably end up walking through this bit. So there's not really much need to add them here, because they won't really be walking up, you know, this bit. So we'll just leave it as those. In fact, you probably can get rid of that one, to be honest, if you really want to. Now, what you can do is continue these across and have wall darts on them. The only thing is, these walls are launching the enemies out to here, obviously. And if we have those, they're not going to go as far out. But there is a positive to it. So, by stopping the enemies from flying too far out, what we can do is build this like that, and this basically contains the enemies in this area. This will just have wall darts on, which will affect stuff as it walks back up this ramp here. We will have ceiling drop traps above. Over here, you can block this area like so, and then probably there as well. The reason for this is the enemies that spawn, you know, over here, instead of being able to just walk all the way over here and skip most of the traps, they will instead have to walk up this ramp over here and then go through the trap tunnel. This bit's a bit sketch, so you can either just do that, stop them from coming up it, or just allow them to. But this way, they have to come up the longer way up here. And if we put a floor here, they have to come up here. So with this area here, what we can do is use this as a little bit of extra damage, like so. These can be walls. Any further back, and again, you run into sort of spawn area, so the walls might get destroyed. You can go and play ahead and place some though. And you know, if it gets destroyed, it gets destroyed. But yeah, that's the main part of that. So you probably want a wall there, and to be honest, you could put a wall there if you want, but what we're going to do is put a wall launcher here, which will send them out into there. So that's the reason I'm not going to put a wall there. It wouldn't hurt to put one there though. You can have wall darts shooting through the tunnel, and on this one we'll do a wall launcher as well. So now all that's left to build really is the ceiling for this. We can build round the amplifier as well, so what I'll do is just build like this. We'll pretty much leave this side of it open for now, because we'll be dealing with it when we get to that side. But I'll just place this one so that I can place this on top like that. So we're just going to do the same sort of thing we did at the other amplifier. So do this like that, and then we'll put floor spikes on these, anti-air trap on the top, and yeah, we're generally just allowing the enemies to walk into the amplifier because they will get killed by the trap tunnels anyway. So for the ceiling, it doesn't really matter where you build up for it for here, but we're going to build it 2 blocks up. Which means that the entire ceiling will affect the spawns and the trap tunnels. So as I say, you can, you know, just carry it out from here, or if you want to build a wall like that and then start from there, it's completely up to you how you want to go about it, but just make sure you place the ceilings where I'm placing them. So effectively, the rule of thumb is build it over the entire trap tunnel and then to the side of it as well. What you can do for this bit if you want is add extra reinforcement, but I don't think enemies will try break out here, so there's probably not much need for that. Right, let's carry on the ceiling then. So the ceiling's going to go across this entire courtyard area, so what we'll do is this. And then as we come to the trap tunnels, again, they're going to be walking here. So these will be tar pit trap. And then to the side of it, we can do ceiling electric field. So this can be ceiling electric field here. And then you can even build it here. But I would avoid it just because if we build a floor there, it incentivizes enemies more to come up here and walk across straight to the amplifier. So I'm going to avoid connecting that. And we'll just continue this ceiling here like this. This point, it's very far out, and you don't have to do the entire thing. If you are low on structures, if you have very good damage and stuff, which I do, to be honest, but I'm just placing everything just to show how the build would look, for the very top level. So I'm just going to build pretty much everywhere here. But as I said, this is like really over the top, and you don't need to. And we may have to strip back at the end like we did in Twine. But, we'll deal with that when we get to it. So, you can go another one if you want. Here. Another layer of traps. Again, this is very, very overkill. But we are building an AFK Endurance, so why the hell not? I'm just going to connect this here as well. I don't feel comfortable having it connected to one place. I don't know, it really bugs me doing that. I feel like it's going to just destroy itself or something, so I like to connect it in a few places. You could do it anywhere, really. You could have these walls here connect up. But we have it connected in 2 places now, so it should be good. But yeah, that should be all the structures you need. Can't think of any other flanks because we've covered pretty much everything they could possibly do. And we have an entire massive roof over the whole thing. So we can go ahead and level this stuff up. The ceiling is less important. You could build it out of brick probably in this case, if you really want. But I'm going to be leveling up to tier 3 metal because I have a mat grinder that gives me loads of materials. If you don't have that, just feel free to watch the video for that. It'll be in the description. But yeah, I'll get onto the traps and the perks, and then we can go ahead and place them down. Cheers. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you are enjoying the video, please do let me know in the comments. But also, I am on the Supporter Creator Program, so if you could please use my code CAMIG, and be sure to subscribe as well to get all future videos. Thank you so much. Alright, now that you've got that stuff upgraded, we can place the traps. So on top of the amplifier, we're going to do the same sort of thing as the other one. So anti-air trap on top, and then you can place, a few just there. Just in case flingers do manage to escape somehow, somewhere, we have something blocking them. And then we can just put some wooden floor spikes on the edges. In case they did manage to get any enemies here, they would die attacking these, so that would be fine. Now at the amplifier, we're going to have tar pit traps, if I can get my 106 ones. But they're pretty much this entire bit leading up to it. We'll have a tar pit trap on this last... actually, we'll stick to wooden floor spikes throughout this entire bit around here. Again, making sure you leave this bit open. I mean, they could come up this bit, I suppose, if you want to make this a floor, but I'm going to leave it open as it is. On most of these ramps where we've covered, to stop enemies from flanking, you can put healing wall spikes. You probably don't need to do it on all of them. So maybe just the very first ones, like that one. You definitely don't need to go to the back ones. We have covered, this pretty much this entire flanking route anyway. And then on this side, again, you can put wall spikes on these if you want. Maybe this one, and then on these end too. But other than that, all we need to do really is for these, we can just put some ceiling electric fields underneath. That will zap anything that goes close, and then we have this entire ceiling that we can place traps on as well. You can place traps on these walls if you want. It's probably not too necessary because we have the ceiling traps. So on this side, at least, I'm going to avoid it. I am going to put a ceiling electric field under there, though. And then for up here, I will put the launchers. So 106, I'm going to do the full durability ones on these. And on these as well. On this last one, you could probably go for a non-durability one. But I'm going to leave it as durability for now. Then on this one, I'm going to go for the more rounded build with more impact and more reload speed on those two. While we're here, I guess we can place any traps in this area. Probably won't need these because, as I say, it's Plankerton and it's really not too difficult for the endurance here, but we can go ahead and place them anyway. And you can feel free to strip back if you want, if your perks are super duper and all that good stuff. So as I said, you can place a wall darts at the back there. It will shoot through this ramp, so it acts as a blocker, and you can also damage through it, which is nice. From here we can do wall darts. We've got those going. This one can be a broadsides, so I'll get my 106 broadsides there. This one can be wall darts. And then wall darts at the back of these. As I say, for this courtyard area, you could put wall spikes on these. I'd probably just go for this one, because this is the one with the ramp leading up to the amplifier. The rest are going to get affected by the ceiling traps anyway. One note I did get rid of. I think we had a ceiling here. I just got rid of it so they couldn't hop onto it from there, because that might make them want to leave out there more. On these walls, we'll do wall darts to do more damage as they get to the top of the ramp. Do it on that one as well, and as I say, you can do them on these. Probably would more recommend down here. The reason being is over here is where they spawn, so doing it immediately, they just go. The durability goes so quickly. Whereas on this side, this is just for the enemies that make it to this point and then get pushed down. So these wall darts will last a lot longer, so we can go ahead and do those. I'm going to leave it off those two though, because they're not really going to affect much should we add anything on them. Over here, we can get wall darts going for these. Wall dynamos on these low walls. And then, don't really need anything on there. Probably just like the sound trap for propanes, I would have thought. That should affect pretty much everything that comes through. In fact, you can put it on this side of it as well if you want, or maybe on this one actually. We'll put it here. And that should be good. So everything that comes through propane-wise should drop there. Propanes, all good stuff. Now that's all that's left is the ceiling traps. So I'll start from the other end of the trap tunnel. So the enemies will be walking from here, so I'm going to do is get my drop traps equipped. I'm going to face this way to knock them back down, this ramp, and then we'll just do that pretty much the entire way. Over here we'll do that. On this one, I want to knock them back this way. From here I want to knock them back. On these ones we will do that. And then on this last one I'm going to place it that way as well as that one. Then as we go through this last bit, we're just going to place it facing the direction the husks would be. And then finally there. Now over the spawn, on this bit down here, you're definitely going to need ceiling drop traps. The direction doesn't matter too much down here. But I'm just generally going to place it facing towards the trap tunnels. We push them back out effectively. Like so. That one's not going to affect in, so no need to place it on that. What we can do for this one, or these two even, is we can place ceiling electric fields, which will zap into enemies stood here as they come past. And then similarly on these sides, we can get ceiling electric fields zapping into enemies as they come through the tunnels. Like that. Even all the way up here. And then these back ones, I think I'll do ceiling electric field. All across these. Even in that one. Now over here, it's a bit less important having the ceiling traps. For these ones, I will place, if I can get them, the tire drop traps facing this way, just to stop enemies from wanting to go through. This one here can be an electric field. And then put a drop trap on this one. But yeah, all these ones here, probably want to go for drop traps. The direction you face doesn't entirely matter, to be honest, in this, at this point, because it's generally just going to kill stuff that spawns, so it really doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to face the amplifier as I place them, pretty much, so that they do get staggered away from it as they drop. If you do need structures back, obviously you can get rid of some of these. This is very over the top. So, if you do need to get some back, definitely just strip some of those back. But as far as traps goes, that's it. That's all you need. But now we're going to be building for the north. So there's no amplifier that stops this spawn from ever spawning. It is a constant if you have this amplifier placed down, which I think everybody does. So you'll definitely need this. So the spawn for this is on this area here. They can spawn in this watery bit down here as well, and at the back there. So we'll cover this entire thing with traps. They can, I think, spawn up there as well, on the top of that ridge, which is a little bit annoying. And there's obviously back routes they can take back there. So what we're going to do is bring them across here, and then we can knock them down there with wall launchers in this area. Over here we can use wall launchers as well. I want to avoid doing it here, as I don't want to fling them into our block-offs for their home base, because that's just not going to be good. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll bring them across here. At this point we'll block this and bring them to the side through here. On this bit we will just broadside them to, Kingdom Come. On this bit, if you want, you can wall launcher them out to there, but it's probably best not to, because again, it's sort of our block off area, and it's going to give them a free rein on, flinging to this if we do that. And then at the top, it's up to you how you want to go about this. You might have risk of smashers wanting to charge when they see this, so you can get rid of this wall and just place it at the side. What I'm going to do is just leave it open though. We can close that wall, and basically we can get rid of that roof actually, because we'll place the roofs after. But yeah, as I say, you can get rid of this if you want. I don't know why I'm teabagging. But if you see issues with smashers, but we'll have tar pits on the floor to stop these smashers charging anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. We need walls here for wall launchers, same there. Up here, we're going to put a wall there just to make sure that if stuff does get flung from here with a wall launcher, it doesn't get sent out into this area. You can extend this out, just to avoid that if you really want. You shouldn't need it though, but I'm going to add it just so that if stuff does land sort of here, it doesn't try walk, over there. Now, once stuff gets flung out here, obviously if it's a flinger or a lobber, it can probably aim at the amplifier from here. So what you can do is you can add a ceiling over this if you want. But bearing in mind this is joint spawn with the home base, so they spawn, up around this area. So if you place traps, they're going to probably go pretty quickly. Now what you can do instead is just build a lobber shield with no traps, or just place anti-air traps. Either way works. So what you can do with the ceiling here is have this from here and just cover this sort of area. About here should be far enough, and here should be far enough. Now anything stood here can't get an angle at the amplifier. If you do see them aiming from here, for example, just extend this ceiling out a bit. We don't need traps on these. You can put them on if you want, but they'll probably get used up fairly quickly with the home base, as I say, so not really necessary. The main thing, as I say, is them coming back up this ramp here, which we can add ceilings over. So I'm just going to start the ceilings for these up here, right here, and go along with this. So covering this entire thing. Now obviously having these allows the enemies to walk over the trap tunnels if they were to get up here. But we have blocked this with the other direction, just showing that, just in case you haven't seen that. We've blocked all this here. And even if we didn't have this, like, you know, the enemies could come here. But what you can do if you're paranoid is just block this area, you know, just like this. Stops them from being able to do anything. Maybe that one as well, just to cover that little gap in case the AI is able to figure out that it can go in there. But yeah, these ceilings, we're going to carry on over this entire area. All the way to the edge, might as well cover this entire thing. Like so. And then make sure you're covering this area, because this is where they will be coming back up that ramp. So, like that. Now, as I say, I think there is a spawn there, so I would avoid going too close to it. What you can do is add some walls here. You want like that, and that, and do this. Don't need to go too far, because I'm pretty sure it's just right on the edge here. You can occasionally get the tendril spawn. These guys might try drop down here, you know, and go wherever, but where they're going to go, either through the home base trap tunnels or back up through our normal ones. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. While we're here, though, we can block this just to stop anything from coming through here. Again, it's not super important, because where they're going to go, there's not really much they can do, apart from maybe coming up here. So if we just probably from here. Oops, didn't mean to place the top ones. Like that. But you probably don't need the tops for this. This is really out of the way for the enemies. And then you could do even more if you want, but honestly, you shouldn't need too much. We're just stopping the enemies from being able to get on top of the trap tunnels, basically. But that should be plenty of enough block off for that. So yeah, they can spawn in here and around this back bit, so it would be nice to have ceilings cover this. So you can actually extend this. Because this ceiling is 3 blocks up, any traps you put on it, you know, the tire drop traps will affect the spawn, so we can still do that, which is nice. Put a wall there for more wall darts if you want. But as far as the ceilings go, that should be enough. I think you potentially can, on the very rare occasion, get some spawns up here. So what you could do for that is just, you know, extend this one, get some ceiling electric field or something, but we just want to block this side here, like this. And then, like so. That stops any enemies that do spawn up here. They'll get affected by these traps, and then they'll drop down here anyway and go through the normal trap tunnels. So we've got that stuff set up. You can get a wall here for some more damage, even a floor there. I think at this point it would get destroyed by the spawn. This one may as well, but we can place it just to see. And what you can do is you can just add a bit down here for more damage should you want to. As I say, you can block more stuff around here if you need to, but we've got enough stuff to stop them from being able to fling, so I wouldn't be worried about that. The only thing you might want to do is put a ceiling there, just to cover it a bit more, and maybe there. But with all that stuff placed, we should be good. What you can do is, as we've done with the other ones, is place thin walls like this to make the enemies walk closer to the edge. I'd avoid putting one here just because if enemies get pushed by the launcher while they're here, they'll hit the wall. But you can do it if you want. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And if you need the structures back, you can get rid of these. They're not overly important. It's nice to have them, but you know, it's not game changing. It's not break or make or break, whichever way that's said. But yeah, that should be enough structures for that, I believe. Just need some stuff at the top here, so we'll just continue the ceiling at this height for here, and do gas traps for any smashers and such that might make it to this point. But you know, you shouldn't really be too worried about this area. You can extend this if you want. That's up to you. I'll leave that to you to decide. But yeah, I'll go ahead and level this stuff up, and then I can show you the traps, perks, and where to place them. All right, now that you got that stuff placed down and leveled up, we can go ahead and place the trappy poos. That was cringe. So at the end, as before on all the other ones, we're going to place tar pit traps. Stop those smashers from charging. Going to get those going throughout pretty much most of this. On here, we'll start doing floor spikes, hoping that they'll last a bit longer, durability-wise. For these first walls, we'll do full durability wall launchers. This one included, this one. So basically all of them, I guess. And then towards the end on these ones, we will do the ones that have more impact and more reload speed, just in case the smashes do make it here. We'll do, if I can get them, broadsides there. On this ramp at either side as well. We can do it on the sides, but it's not going to let us, because it's inside the ground. So I'll just quickly do that. Throughout this bit, we're going to do broadsides either side, because it is just the best damage you can do. On this back one, we will do wall darts. There. These are all set up. Down here, we can do wall darts on these two. Beautiful stuff. Just going to level that up in the meantime. We do want some sound traps, so what I'm going to do is put one here. This will help with the exploders. Just thinking what you can do at the top here to stop the enemies from just sort of like walking up and doing that. I mean, it's not the worst thing if they do that, but what you could do is just have like that if you want. I'm probably going to leave it without, but just I wanted to show you guys what you could do should you want to. Just in case that one sound trap isn't enough, you could add another one, say here. There's a few other places you could put them. You might have to sacrifice one of the launchers, like for example this one here. You could just replace that with a sound trap as well. But if this contains the exploders enough on its own, then you're obviously good to go. Just level up this one thing before I forget about it. We can start with some of the ceiling traps back here. So at the amplifier itself, we're going to have gas traps, and then on this staircase we'll do tire drop trap. On this whole thing we'll do tire drop trap. On these I'm going to slow the enemies down by pushing them back. So I'm just facing the direction they would be facing. On this one I'm going to place it this way, so that it knocks the enemies off the floors we have here. What you can do on these two is place them that way. You can even do it on that one. Reason being is if anything does land here, for example, these will then knock it off, which is, you know, what we want. On this ceiling here specifically, and you can add one there as well if you want, if I can stand in the right place. You can add one there if you want, and at the other side. But we're just going to put a ceiling electric field here, which will zap into the trap tunnels. You could do it there as well, but I'm going to go for tire drop traps there. And on this area here, we'll do tire drop traps as well. I'm probably going to need to craft some more. Again, just facing the amplifier. These, again, will act for the home base as well. It's mainly a lobber shield, so I'm going to avoid placing it on these first. We'll just place them. Who cares? But yeah, if you notice anything flinging from here, just extend this ceiling, obviously, further, and that will deal with that. For this ceiling here, we will do electric field. And then for these coming up the ramp, we're going to do tire drop traps to knock them further down, to make it slower for them to get back up. Same there. And then across the entire spawn, we're just going to put tire drop traps. So I'm going to have to craft some more. I don't have enough. So we'll do that. You can put wooden wall spikes with healing on this. And now that we have our tire drop traps back, Go ahead and place these. It doesn't matter too much the direction of these, but these ones on the ramp, I'm just going to face the ramp so that they get knocked further down. And then we can level that wall up while we're here. Then for these, I'm going to avoid placing one on that one, and I really don't think it's that important to place it in the corner here. We will just... Can I make it up there? From here. We want to traps up here, but I'm just going to place wall spikes on that one. You can place a ceiling there as well with damage. But up here, as I said, we will do ceiling electric fields. And then the tire traps down here, it's less important, as I say, because I don't think much is going to be down here. So I'm going to avoid placing in that corner. It's more just for stopping flingers and the such. Up here, we can get some wall darts. So if I go to wall traps, I've gone to both of the other ones first. Well done. We just place these like that. Wow, that was expertly done. Then on these ceilings, we can do... we'll do drop traps on those ones. But on these, we will do zappy boys. And then for these, we'll do drop traps. Facing away from... Well, facing the amplifier, sorry, so that they knock them away from the amplifier when they go off. And then that should be everything you need. As I say, this area here, you may need to expand the ceiling if you are seeing flinger issues. But for the rest of it, we're golden. Absolutely beautiful stuff. You can add damage here if you want. It really isn't necessary, though, because the enemies should be flying straight out. And then, yeah, everything up here is sorted. You can put wall darts there. Probably don't need anything there, to be honest. So yeah, there you go. There's your build. And we are working on the south spawn. So my head got jumbled back and forward with this. Couldn't decide if this actually had a spawn or not. But yeah, it does have a joint spawn with Amplifier A. So obviously when we built for Amplifier A, we already had all of this stuff placed down, which honestly does most of the job for you. But yeah, what we're going to do for this build is we've got all this stuff blocked off from the rest of our Amplifier B build. And what is beautiful about this is the enemies over there. We will need to adjust this slightly, and we can add some more traps, but the enemies will just come and go through the regular trap tunnel that we've got set up for the east direction. So the enemies will not try go up this ramp at all. That's because we've got so much blocking it off. Now, if you want, you can add more spikes, whatever, to it, you know, if should you please, but you definitely don't need it. We already have some spikes there anyway. But yeah, the enemies will just come up here, and they'll get knocked by this, knocked back by this down there. And then even if they did get through, you know, we've got so much here to deal with them. But yeah, as I say, there's a few things you can do. So if I get rid of this, I mean, you can keep it if you want, but just in case enemies do spawn around this area, they'd probably break this to get up anyway. So I'm just going to open that. Then we can get rid of this block off. What you might want to do is for this block off here, you might just want to add a little bit extra at the top, just like this, just to ensure that they don't try come up here, because they'd have a nice flinger shot to the amplifier up here. So flingers and lobbers might want to come up here. So what you can do is just, as we've done before in the past, just get these aimed towards that corner, and then add your walls in a grid method like in the past. As I said, this is kind of optional. You shouldn't really need it, but we're just going to add it anyway. Now, as I say, the enemies are going to come over this way, so what we can do is just extend this ceiling. I'd avoid placing it here, as this corner will connect to here, and enemies might see that. They will actually be able to walk across this. It's a bit easier for them when it's lower down, but they can glitch onto it. So I would avoid doing that, and you can bring it across here like that. And then, again, same with that corner. I'd avoid, bring it to here. And then once we've got to this point, we are now joining onto the trap tunnels for here. I'm just going to make a connection here. Not really necessary. I'm just doing it because I don't want this stuff all to break down. But as I say, it's connected in multiple places, so you shouldn't need it. Now, what you can do for this area is you can place some ceiling electric fields here to zap down, although I think it is too high up. So we can do tire drop traps instead, or we can continue the ceiling across at this level. I'm going to continue at this level and then just get rid of these two, which didn't have traps on anyway, so don't worry about that. So we can just go underneath here and place ceiling electric fields on these ones. These will zap to any enemies that do try break through here, but like I said, I did test this, and the enemies just went straight up the regular tunnel, which is just perfect, really, isn't it? So, I can't complain. So, now for the ceiling, we're going to place tire drop traps. So, place these all while facing the amplifier, which will knock them back towards spawn. So, if we do this, like that, and then obviously we already have them over here. Now, it is annoying that we can't place ceilings here because the enemies can hop into them. What you can do is place them, even if you place them at that height. I mean, if you really want ceilings here, you can place them one higher, because obviously tire drop traps do go 3 blocks. So what you can do, I say blocks as if it's Minecraft, I've done that in the past. Don't hate me. You can do it up here, and obviously then enemies cannot walk on top of these. It's overkill anyway. I mean, we're in Plankerton. You really don't need these, but just in case you do want to place them, I'll place them to show you. But yeah, you just want to face the amplifier B over there, as you're placing them, and this will cover the entire area now. Now the spawn is way back here by the actual amplifier that you could place here. So you can add trap tunnels here if you wish. You shouldn't really need it, just because this does most of the heavy lifting. What you can do down here, if you want, is do this, and then this. This is pretty optional because most enemies won't come down here; they will come up this top route. So you don't need it, but I like building trap tunnels, I'll be honest. So yeah, I realize I'm placing the traps as I go through here, which is a bit unorthodox. So I guess. Yeah, I guess this video is a bit different. I'll continue doing the build, and then I'll place the rest of the traps down to avoid this being very weird. But yeah, as these enemies come up this ramp, we can then do this sort of thing, and this will join on to the enemies that come from here. Then we can do this, force the enemies to come through this area. We can block this off to stop them from being able to get, even get into this area, which is nice. You can add a launcher on this to launch them over here, but obviously I'll do that when I get to the traps. And then we're just going to bring them over here. Now, you don't really need floor traps here, but what I'm going to do is do that, and then we can put a launcher there. You can even do one there. It's not really that necessary, though. I will just leave it open. And then you can place traps in all this area, but I don't think I even saw any enemies make it here, because our traps and our build is just so powerful. One thing I think I might change here, though, just while we're here, is place this as a sound trap, just to make sure the exploders are fully dealt with. But yeah, going back to the actual direction we're building for here for the south, this should be plenty. We've got the ceilings all placed. As I say, you can add extra stuff around here if you want, but I really don't think it's necessary. The only thing you might want to do is we can place a wall here to put a sound trap on. You could do the same thing down here, because I was going to do a wall launcher here, so we'll do a sound trap there. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to do. So ordinarily at this point I would level all this stuff up and show you the traps. So I will see you once I have done that. Alright, once you've got that stuff leveled up, I did just remove the 2 floors here because, I mean, they're not really going to do anything. And added a small thin wall here just to extend their path. We can start here as well. So we're going to put a full impact one here, because not many enemies are going to make it this far. It's mainly going to be for like mini bosses, smashes, that type of thing. And then we want tar pit trap on the floor, tar pit trap, and then on this one we can do wooden floor spikes just to deal a bit of damage as they come through. As we go down here, we will do tar pit traps. Again, this bit's optional, you really don't need it. If you were going to place any traps in this area, or you could keep the block off as we had it before, it's up to you. But I'd just go for the traps that I put up here, to be honest. But yeah, for this area, we're going to do a sound trap on that wall to make sure exploders don't harm anything, and then we'll just do a full build for these ones. As they come up, we've already got the ceilings. At the back, we can do wall darts there. On the sides, we'll do broadsides, but again, it's pretty over the top at this point. We're going to put a sound trap here to deal with exploders. And then as they come through, we will do a launcher here. At this point, we will do broadsides to do huge damage. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. As I said, the heavy lifting was done by our Amplifier A build, really, because this entire lower area and this entire area up here, pretty much, apart from this stuff, was already covered. And then our east build does the rest of the trap tunnels up here as well for us. So, you know, everything's already taken care of. So this is my Amplifier C. It is the west of the home base. The names get a bit finicky in Plankerton, but there is another one over there which is northwest, so I'm avoiding saying northwest. So yeah, this is probably, I think, an amplifier that everyone would place down. So you will likely have both of these spawns, but obviously if you have the amplifier placed down over there, you won't have a north spawn. But we're going to start with the north today. And for this, they're going to spawn right around the location of the amplifier, just like with the other areas where we have an amplifier. They generally just spawn just behind it and around the area. So we'll put loads of ceiling traps over there. But we'll start with the main trap tunnel up here by the amplifier. So what we're going to do is, towards the end here, we're going to bring them up this side. And then once they get to the amplifier, we'll probably just let them go in. Now, what you can do for this one, because we've got a bit more space around the amplifier, is you can make a bait and switch like we did in Twine. But given it's Plankerton, you really shouldn't need it, so you might want to skip that. On this ramp down here, we're going to force them to come up this outside lane. So they come up here, and then we're going to make them turn here, like this. You can leave this one open and have a wall launcher here. And then what you can do as well is have a wall launcher here, which will force them to get sent out. And then over here, what we can do is have like this. And if we place the ceilings here now, we can get a wall darts on here. Now, we don't want them to be able to go around here, really, because they're going to go to some weird places, so we will just do that with a wall as well. Now, as I said, for this bit, we can put a wall launcher here. The only issues, if any, are that as the enemies come up here, they might want to break through this wall. But given the amplifier is that direction, they should be fine just coming around here. And then, yeah, these two, we can launch them out down there. At which point, if it's a flinger or a lobber, obviously they're going to try aim at the amplifier, but we'll put anti-air traps down for that, don't worry. Or you can build a lobber shield, you know, either way works. But if it's a regular husk, they're then going to have to walk back up that ramp there and go through the trap tunnels again. So it's a lovely way to sort of recycle the traps. And what we can actually do is we can actually just keep the ceiling up here for all of this. And then on here, we can actually get traps that will zap in. And then what we can do is, because that floor down there is 3 blocks below us, we can just continue the ceiling from here across this entire place. Like so. Just cover this entire area. Just to behind the amplifier. You don't need to place one over the amplifier because enemies won't walk underneath it, because they can't. So you can avoid doing that. But yeah, for the rest of this area, we're going to blanket cover it. Now, you can make a connection up here if you're paranoid about, you know, one of them breaking over there. You can just add a connection here, just to give it a bit more structural support. Now, enemies could flank round there, up here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to block this ramp off just to cover any unforeseen circumstance where the enemy will try a flank up here. In fact, on the bottom, you probably want to put one on the side as well, just to be safe. I believe that should be the only way up to this island bit. Just a little adjustment here, and on one of my test runs, we had spawns up here on the mountain. Never on the top here, but I believe they were just behind the hill here. Now, interestingly enough, the enemies didn't come down here, and I need to add that back in, but that was broken out from when I did the spawn for this amp here that you can place. But yeah, all we can do for this is we need to make sure that they don't have a way to get on top of the trap tunnels. So we need to get rid of all of these corners here. Now, don't worry, the flingers and lobbers can't, aim from here. It just means that no enemy can drop onto the trap tunnel, because that's what they were doing. They just dropped on top and then went to the objective. And then once we've done that, what we can do is just, build up from here. So if we do this, and then let's probably do it from down here, actually, like that. And then if I can just, I'll just use this to get up real quick. We can add a ceiling up there. Then what we can do is cover this like so. You can, whoops, didn't mean to do that. You can then do this. Now, as I say, I didn't see a spawn on the top of this, but just in case there ever is one, obviously you're going to have issues, because if a spawn comes up here, the enemies are then just going to walk towards the objective. So if you ever do see that, I mean, it's really unlucky. Like, I haven't seen it in any of my testing. As I say, I just saw the one down here, which came on randomly on one of the tests. So I don't think you need to build for up this area, but you can, just in case, add it over here, and it should kill most of the enemies that spawn. And then if you do see it, obviously, you can either just build blockades down here, but I think the enemies will still go this way instead. So this should hopefully deal with it. But then what we're going to do is just extend this back a little bit further. And to be honest, that should be enough. As I say, the spawn was like there, so these ceilings here, we will put ceiling electric fields on all of these. You can even put like wall darts on those walls if you want. You probably don't need this much going up to cover it. That's up to you. I'll leave that to you to decide how much you want to add, but basically the main important thing is to stop them from being able to jump on the ceiling. You probably don't need any of this ceiling stuff. This is just in case they do land on top, mainly. And as I said, they didn't wander around here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to block this flanking route off like so. We'll just do this, and then a wall, and that should be perfect. And then what you can do is just extend the ceiling there. You can put one that side as well if you want, but that's less important because they're going to go there to try break through, so then that ceiling will cover that. You can cover this bit as well to stop flingers mostly at this point from being able to get a sight on the amplifier. And then what I'd do is just cover these bits with walls just to stop, again, flingers from being able to fling. Yeah, that covers all of the ceilings. Now, as I say, you can extend this out here to stop flingers and lobbers from being able to target the amplifier. Obviously, they're not going to be able to get past this wall, so if you start stairs from here and just go up maybe 2, that should cover that area. Just take it all the way across. But we're going to do it with anti-air traps instead because it's far more efficient. But if you do see any issues, any bugs, anything like that, just obviously place down the flinger and lobber shield. Now, once they're up here, well, as I say, at this point, it's only going to be smashers as a very, small chance, or the mini-boss, because the mini-bosses are very hard to kill, even with loads of traps. But we can get some floors down in this area. We want a wall there. This bit's obviously going to be open. On these ramps, we can do this to get damage. We'll block them from going up that side. Now, you can do some extra stuff down here if you want. We'll probably stop them from being able to go on that bit over there, because they might then go over our block-offs for the other area. But yeah, you can add some walls around this area, should you want to. So we already have this for the block-off. You can put one here, put some wall darts on it. You can get them up here with wall darts facing into the spawns. But the ceilings are pretty much going to do the job for us here. There's really not much need for anything extra. You could go for that with some wall darts to shoot them as they come up this bit. Similarly here, you could add, a bit of extra. You could then do broadsides here, for example, now. That will ping between. We're going to want sound traps to stop the exploders from, destroying our trap tunnels. We can put them on these walls, and then you can put them on some of these as well. But yeah, that should cover most of the structures. As I said, though, you can build a bait and switch should you want to. We have this nice bit over here, where if we bring them for example, up here, like so. This will work for both directions, as the other direction we're going to bring them through there, and then they could wander up here if we then bring them to here, or if we do a stairs like so, we can then put wall lights on there. That will knock off any smashes, but this is mostly for mini bosses anyway. So all you need to do is just make sure, speaking is hard, all you need to do is just make sure it connects to the corner of the amplifier, and then replicate the same build we did in Twine. So I'll just briefly show it in case people haven't watched those videos. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to, whoopsie daisy, you're going to fall down real quick, because that's how the pros do it. Then all you need to do is just do the other side, like this. The opposite corner to where we bring them to. And then underneath this bit is important, is get archways on all of these, and then a thin wall connecting to the floors of that. Now, I'm not going to build the whole thing, and I do want to try testing it without the bait and switch, so that's why I'm not building it, but I just wanted to show you in case you didn't know how it worked. Basically, the mini bosses and smashes will go up it, thinking that's a defense for the amplifier, and then the wall lights will knock smashes off, and the mini bosses generally like to walk up, get to the amplifier, maybe break one wall, and then jump down. Sometimes they jump down without breaking anything. It's beautiful. But yeah, as I say, for this area over here, you can add extra stuff here if you wish. You know, say like a wall here with the wall launcher, add some floors or whatever. I'm going to leave it open from here, but should you see any issues, obviously just add extra damage up here. But yeah, I'll go ahead and level this up, and then we can place the traps down, so I will see you shortly. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you are enjoying the video, please do let me know in the comments. But also, I am on the Supporter Creator program, so if you could please use my code CAMIG, and be sure to subscribe as well to get all future videos. Thank you so much. That stuff all leveled up, we can go ahead and place the traps. So starting towards the amplifier here, on pretty much all of these ceilings, apart from some exceptions, which I will say as I'm going through, we were playing tire drop traps. So for these, you want to face the direction the husks will be facing generally as they come through the tunnels. The reason being is they will knock backwards to the way you place it. So as I'm facing this way, placing that one, it will knock the enemies backwards this way. So it will knock them back out of the tunnel, right back down to spawn. And then for the entire spawn down here, I'll just speed this bit up for you guys to save you having to watch this entire thing. But just, again, it doesn't really matter too much on the direction on these, but generally just face away from the... or face the amplifier, sorry, as you place them. That way they will get knocked away from the amplifier. Cool. Now, one could argue you could use ceiling electric field in some of these areas. I really don't think that's efficient over a spawn, because, you know, like in a 3x3 area, all of the electric fields are going to go off when one enemy spawns in the center. And that just means the trap durability is not going to last as long, so I really don't think that's the way to go for it. So I think tire drop traps over a spawn. But it's up to you. If you don't have the tire drop trap perked up and all that stuff, you can feel free to use ceiling electric field. Just bear in mind that down here, this is a 3 tall gap, which means that the tire drop traps work, but the ceiling electric field would not in that area over there. But yeah, wooden wall spikes even. I'm going to correct myself real quick there. On this one, just to stop and heal this wall if they do try to break through. Down here, as I said when I placed it, we can put broadside traps bouncing over each other here. And then at the sides, we're going to want some juicy sound traps. And then as I go up the hill here, I'm going to place one on one on the left side, on the bottom and the top, just to really enforce the fact that we hate exploders and we want them to perish and not be able to explode. We're going to have to break this wall, place it back to get a broadside on it, but then at this side, broadside as well. Now for here, we'll do wall darts. You could put broadside there if you want, but it will bounce and then it'll sort of dribble down here, which won't be as effective as, wall darts. Then on here, we want the wall launcher, so we're going to go for full durability one on this. So I'll just use my 130s because they're full durability. Now, what you might want to do, this is up to you, and actually I'm going to change it. So I'm going to get rid of that wall. The reason being is this wall launcher will now push them like all the way back down here, as opposed to previously it would have just pushed them and then they'd hit the wall, land here and come back up. So I apologize for changing that after the fact, but there you go. Through the floor on this entire thing, we're just going to do tar pit trap. Now you can put them on the ramp if you want here. And then similarly, you can do it here. I'm going to avoid it. I don't like doing it when I can avoid it, so I'm going to avoid it entirely. Now, I just want to make sure I get durability on these as well. And this one for the wall launchers. Now, as I'm up here, I'm just going to place some more ceiling traps, but this time we're going to do ceiling electric field. So this trap here, obviously the enemies will never stand beneath it, so there's no point for a tire drop trap, but the ceiling electric field here will zap out to enemies stood here. It will zap over, and the same logic applies for all of these ones at the side. You can even put them out there if you want. It's a little bit overkill, but it's up to you. If you want to go for that, go for it. On this wall, we will do broadside because it will bounce nicely against that wall. And then over here, we will do wall darts there. We will get a wall dynamo on that wall. Now, this isn't as much damage as you could potentially do in this area. Obviously, if you close up these sides and don't knock the enemies down there, which is perfectly valid. If you want to go for that, please feel free to. What you'd want to do instead is you'd put a wall here with wall darts. This would be a low wall as well, like this one, with wall dynamo. And then these would both be broadside traps. And you'd have a wall here with broadside traps on as well. I like to give options for you guys, especially in Plankerton. You know, you can really change things up in Plankerton and it's still effective. Unlike Twine, where you pretty much have to stick to the best build. Otherwise, you just get wrecked. But then, as I said when I started this with the structures, you can add stuff here if you want, you know, another floor, a wall, ceiling traps, all that stuff. You shouldn't need it. It is Plankerton, and if you do place your base down as you go through, obviously it wouldn't be fully AFK in that matter, but especially if you are using 130 traps as well, I'm just using 106. They will get knocked down to 116, I believe, but it's still very effective. Now, what we can do here, as I said, you can build a bait and switch, or you can build what we did in the other ones, where we just have a wall like this. And then I can just get this built. We have ramps going up to the middle, like this. I like this design because it's efficient, and it works for, you know, lobbers and flingers if they were to be down there. So we'd place this, and then on the top, we'd go for anti-air trap, and then on these ones we would go for wooden floor spikes, but I'm just going to get 106. Either or, this or the bait and switch that I built previously, it's up to you which you want to go for. The thing you might want to do as well is place some anti-air traps down here if you don't have a lobber shield, just for the enemies that go down into that area down there. As I said, you can build a lobber shield. Either works. But yeah, there we go. There's your north build. And we are now doing the west direction. So if you have this amplifier placed, which I think most people, or all people will, this is a guaranteed spawn. There's no amplifiers that stop it, so you're definitely going to need this. But if you don't have that amplifier placed down there, definitely check out the north direction, as you will need that as well. But I absolutely love this amplifier and this direction. It's such an amazing direction to build for, because they spawn back here, and we've got this massive hill in the way that they can't get round. Well, they can, but we're going to block them off. So they just come through this tunnel. And it's just a nice area to just whack as many damage traps as we can possibly imagine in. So what we're going to do is first block off some of the alternate routes they can take, because we don't want them to be able to flank us. So we're just going to block these like this. Probably want to block this potentially if you want, but this is then digging into the east direction. Not the east direction, sorry, our other amplifier. So we'll get to that when it comes to building for that amplifier. So it's not entirely important to have this, because we will have trap tunnels that will kill the enemies should they go that way anyway. But I'm just going to leave it there for now. Then over here, this is another important block off. Very, very important. Make sure you block this off. Make sure you block this ramp as well. And then at the top here, we need to block this entire thing, because we really don't want any husks flanking us. And then what we can do is just at the top of these, we can just place floors with ceilings on top. You probably don't need the cones, but it's just in case. Now, the ways they actually get up to this is pretty much the only way is to come up here and go around this way. So you can just add a wall there to stop that. And then they could also come to here, drop down here, and then go up this ramp. So if you really want, you can block this off. You know, I'm just going to leave it as the 1. Then if they're really, really sweaty, they could come around here, go up these ramps. Now, we're not going to block all of them because there's so many different paths they could take. But if you want, you can add extra block-offs to these ramps. But as I say, we have this stuff up here which will stop them and make them go down these straight routes. Now, if you want, you can put extra behind these with cones facing towards the walls. But I'm going to leave it like that, as I think that should be plenty. A little adjustment and note about this build is that some of the enemies did actually wander over here. Now, I think it was just because I was stood too close to the amplifier, because once I moved away, they stopped going over here. But all we're going to do is just add this little adjustment. They didn't actually, like, they can't get through the side here, but I generally just add it because I'm paranoid that they'll either change the AI or something, and then these builds won't work, and then you guys will complain at me. So yeah, just to avoid that, we'll put a ceiling there to zap them, and then these spikes will deal with them as well. You could add extra blockage up this ramp as well if you want. That's probably going to take more structures than just adding those traps, though. So it's up to you how you want to deal with that, but that should be plenty enough to deal with that stuff. So now that those block-offs are placed, we can build the main tunnel. So throughout this entire tunnel, we're going to get ceilings and floors and walls on the outside. It's going to look so clean in here once we're done. And then on this bit, you can also just block like so. And as I say, we want walls throughout this entire thing, so get those placed down. Then when we get to the open bit, we can do a bit of extra damage at the back there. We can get our low walls for dynamos. We can just block them from being able to get through here with an extra blockage on the bottom. Then full wall there, and this is where we're going to allow them to get out for the amplifier. So you can either put an extra wall like so there, or you can do that just to give them a bit of extra space where they have to walk when they come out. And then what we can do here is we can put a wall launcher on here to send everything flying back down. It's only really going to be mini bosses and smashers anyway, though, so it's not overly important. But yeah, this is lovely in here, isn't it? It's a nice little homey tunnel. You can close this up or you can leave it open. This wall launcher will launch the enemies back down here, so I'm going to leave it open. And then what we can do on the ramp is this. And down here, and as we go up the ramp, we can get some sound traps going, because we need to make sure that no splody boys get in here with their bombs. Then just cover this entire area down here, like so, with ceilings. You can stop at this one and then move in, because we don't need to cover the lower bits. And then we can put our tire drop traps on these ceilings. You can go a bit further this way if you wish. That's completely up to you. Generally, if they do spawn here, they're going to walk all the way through all these traps anyway, so there's probably no need. We can put a wall on the side of that ramp. And then if you want, you can place a ceiling here with some damage in case any enemies try and make it through that wall. But it's Plankerton, it's quite low. The wall spikes that we put on, just make sure I get the right word because my brain farts. Yeah, the wall spikes that we put on should be plenty enough to, stop those anyway. And then, yeah, you can place a trap on the ramp if you want, but I like avoiding that because I'm scared of them changing how sploders work and them targeting that type of structure, so I don't like to do that. Then once we're out here, as I said in the other video, you can build a bait and switch as we did in Twine. Make sure you build it over this low bit down here so that if they do get knocked down, they then have to make their way back up. It also acts as a good bait for the epic mini-boss. Epic. If it is even epic mini-boss. But we also get stuff like space rocks and tornado on this amplifier. So the anti-air traps work nicely for that as well. So anywhere you have build around the amplifier, it's going to be useful to have the anti-air traps. You could even add more, ceilings around the amplifier just to add anti-air traps. You might want to add them on the outside of these. But yeah, this should be plenty enough damage, but if you do want to add more, you can, build more around here, should you please. Just like so. can just add this in if you need to. Maybe even a wall there. Just be careful of smashers wanting to break through that wall. But yeah, you shouldn't really need it, as I said. You should be plenty at this point. But yeah, now that you've got all that stuff placed down, we can go ahead and level it up, and then we can place the traps and such. So I will see you shortly. That stuff up, we can place the traps. Just wanted to show that I added a wall here. It's literally just an extra blockade that will stop them from being able to go up those ramps. It's only one structure, so I thought it was worth putting down, and I thought it was worth calling it out. Right, for the traps, we can start with some of these blockades, so we can just put wooden wall spikes on there. And then similarly on this side, we put one there and there. You could put broadsides on these, that would work nicely. It just wouldn't heal, that's the only issue. And then on the ceiling here, I'm going to go for a ceiling electric field. The reason being that if enemies come here, it will zap them as well. So it's a nice little 2-for-1, which we love over here on Cami G. Now, tire drop traps on this entire spawn. Every time we place it, we want to be facing the amplifier. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Probably not gonna... Wow, am I dead? No, I'm not. Okay. I'm probably not gonna speed this bit up because it didn't really take that long, apart from me nearly dying and falling off the map. But you know, it's fine. When you do these ones, we'll just face up the ramp. Hello, words. You could place one here as well if you wanted to try and knock them out of the tunnel, but I think I'm going to go for gas through the entire tunnel to really kill anything that comes through. And then at the end of the tunnels, you can feel free to use the ceiling zap trap, which focuses on one enemy, you know, for the smashers or mini bosses, anything like that. Make sure you get ceiling electric fields at the sides here. But I actually don't have one of those traps leveled up fully with perks and stuff, so I'm just going to use gas. But as I say, that probably would be beneficial to have on these last 3 here. Maybe even that one there as well. But as I say, that's up to you, and it depends whether you actually have that trap or not. Back here, I put a durability on that one, but it probably should be an impact, so I'm just going to change that. I made a poopy, and it can be a 106. And that one, and we can do one there as well. This can be broadsides. As I say, this bit is a bit optional, these last ones, but it's, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. We'll do tar pits throughout most of this. So importantly here for the wall launcher and there for the wall launcher. And then on these ones, towards the beginning, I'm going to use wooden floor spikes to do a bit of extra damage. As I say, you can place a ramp here and have something on that should you wish, but I'm not going to. Sound trap on these, and then I'm going to go ahead and place one here as well. Up to you how many you want to place. You don't need to be too overkill like I have, but especially if you don't have the best traps on the sound trap, you might want to place extra ones. You could probably do... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to place a durability one on that one, but you could probably do broadsides in that one if you want, but I'm going to keep it as wall darts. And then... Yeah, if you need to as well, you can place an extra sound trap on the top wall here, or on one of the side ones here, might be useful. But mine are very good perks, so not to brag or anything, but you know. So I'm not going to do that. And then on the walls down here, did I just not place one here? I'll place. I think I said I was going to place wooden floor spikes, didn't I? And then back here we want a durability on this one. And then for this one, we will go for more of an overall with more impact and more reload. On this one, we will do wall darts because it will shoot further down. The broadside trap would not be effective there. But then on all of the walls down, well, all of the large walls leading up to this, where we have it closed off, we're going to do broadside. Now here, where it's more open, we want to do wall darts on the back walls. So there, and that'll do. On the low walls, wall dynamos, that's all we can place there. Beautiful stuff. And I think that covers all of the traps. Yeah. Now you can go ahead and block that. You can block that side off. We don't really need the enemies to come through. And then should you need to, you can place extra blockades behind to stop the enemies from wanting to break through. Yeah, there you go. That's your stuff. As I say, you might need a bait and switch. I am going to test this build thoroughly to see how well we can go without a bait and switch, but should you be paranoid, just place the bait and switch. It'll do good for you. Over here we can place some anti-air traps. You don't need too many because it's quite far away from the amplifier. As I said, just for the space rocks. And then should you need to also just add some extra, you know, floors with anti-air traps on. But yeah, that should be good. So we are now at Amplifier D, which on the map is the southwest amplifier. So I think everyone should have this amplifier and you should get both of these spawns. There's no amplifiers to block the spawns. And we're going to start with the west direction, which is down there. So there's a few paths they can take to get up here. So we have that ramp over there, but we will be covering that when we do our E amplifier. Now, this is one you might not have. So if you don't have this amplifier, you need to block off that ramp. But we will, as I say, cover that when we do that. We've got this wide ramp here, and then they spawn right back there. So what we could do is bring them forward through here and damage them as they come up. But what we can also do is a semi-recycle, semi-damage build. So if we block this ramp and bring them up this one, what we can do is when we get them to the top here, we can just push them out. Push them straight out down there. And then they have to come all the way around again and get hit by all the traps in the ceilings. Words are hard sometimes. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. You can even put a wall launcher there, which can affect stuff as it gets to the top. So, nice little bit of extra, you know, juice that we can do there. And what you can also do is, which I don't always do and I don't always recommend, but for this case, I think it's useful to have wooden floor spikes on the floor to slow them so that there's more chance for this wall launcher to hit them. You can also put them in the wall as you come up here as well. So you can put a wall launcher here, and that will send them out. Now, you could do it at the bottom as well if you want, but I'm going to save this for our sound traps to stop the exploders, because if they get pushed off at this point, I mean, like, they're really not lost that much, you know, distance, so I really don't see the point in doing that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start the ceilings from up here, and we can even do damage to the side. Once they get to here, we will zigzag them like this here, and then we'll just bring them forward towards, and we can have another wall there as well. So this is going to be a wall launcher which will ping them down. Now you can close this off, or you can make it a low wall with, you know, damage to the side. It's up to you how you want to go about that. I think I prefer a full wall here, because most stuff is going to get to this point and get pushed back anyway. So I'm going to leave it as full damage, and then as we come into this bit, this is where we'll do more of the side damage. So full walls at the back, and then what you can do here as well is get these going to fully stop anything from wanting to break out that direction. You can put ramps as well if you want, so those would be that direction. The wall darts will go through that. I'll go ahead and leave those in, just to stop any smashers from wanting to break through that area. And then we can put ceilings at the side, and these will have ceiling electric fields in. Now what you can do if you want is build them like that. This will block more of the wall darts though, so I personally think you should have the ramp like such. And then, as I say, throughout this entire area we can get extra damage with ceiling electric fields at the sides, and then main damage in the middle. On the sides here, we're going to be knocking them out. Here, you could probably try knock them out if you wanted with a, you know, launcher there, but we'll close this off, because then we can do broadsides for huge damage here, and then here we can do a low wall, and then here, this is, as I say, where we'll let them come out. You can make them go one further back if you want, but what I'm going to do is leave this open, and then the wall launcher here will throw the enemies back down into that area down there. Alternatively, you could close it off and then have this open and go all the way to there. It's up to you how you want to do it, but I think this is the better way to go about it, as this is more of a recycler build anyway. So as you come to the end, as I say, you can put wall darts on a wall like this, shooting inwards. You can even do it there as well if you want, to shoot down this range. It's up to you how you want to go about that. You can also do it there as well as wall darts as well, but the only thing with that is I might recommend instead, these are temporary by the way, that's why I'm making it out of wood. What I'd recommend is going maybe this far back if you're going to do that with wall darts. The reason being is that these wall launchers are going to send them out, and we don't want them to just stop right here, drop down here, and then come around. We want them to go a bit further back. So that can be even one further back if you want, or you can just not have it at all. That is completely up to you. It's definitely not necessary to have wall darts on those. That is just an optional extra, and I am actually going to get rid of them, but I just wanted to show to you guys an option that you could add, should you want to. So now that I've got rid of that, we can get rid of these temporary floors. And we're just going to add that there. Now, we need to block off this ramp. So, oops. Get the regular cones if I can at some point here. So I'll just hop on here, edit this back to a regular cone. And on that one, and then at the bottom. Now, what you can do if you want on these, if you're seeing any sort of resistance, is get ramps like this. They will have to break through those as well. Acts as an extra block off. You shouldn't need them. I'll just leave the bottom ones in just as, showing you how that would work. But as I say, you don't really need them. And then down here, if you want, you can add extra walls for some extra damage. It's really up to you. It's not necessary at all, but you can do. Because the enemies spawn back here, these walls will stay intact. You can add floors as well if you want. Get some damage going with the likes of retractable floor spikes, wooden floor spikes, however you want to go about it, that's up to you. You really don't need it though. The ceiling traps and the wall traps will be plenty enough. So please do bear in mind that you don't really need it. Over here, as I said, block this off if you don't have that amplifier. And then we just have some other block offs we need to do. So over here, this kind of doubles as the other direction for D. We need to block this ramp as well. So I'm just going to do that now. And my ramps are edited back. Let's get those defaulted. That should be plenty enough to stop them from coming up here. Any further round, and that's just obviously eating into the other direction for this same amplifier, so there's no need to do anything with that. Finally, we just want to extend the ceiling, so this is going to go over this entire area. No need to go over this ramp, as they won't be able to get there. As I say, this area will be covered with Amplifier E, so don't worry about enemies being able to walk on the roof here. They won't be able to get up to it because they'd die to those trap tunnels if they tried. We just need to make sure that flingers and lobbers and stuff can't aim at the amplifier. So we will have these traps going quite far back. It's up to you how far back you want to go. If you want to save some resources, save some structures, that sort of thing, just don't build as far back as I am. Simple as that. But yeah, I'm going to go that far back. And these will all be tire drop traps. Some of the ones up here will be, like this one will be ceiling electric field to zap into the ones up here. But I'll let you know that when we get onto the traps. But speaking of, obviously you can build a bait and switch here if you want, because we do have some areas we could do it. Like for example, if you start it here, and then, well actually let's just get that side, and then if we do this, whoops, stairs, then a wall, you could knock them down here for the smashers, and then for the mini bosses just let them come here, or go out one further and bring it to that corner. And then just the standard build, so I'll just briefly show it because I don't want to spend too long on this. But you can build around the amplifier like this, opposite corner to where you start. You want to build another like that, and then archways under all the sides to this. So I'll just place one. Archways like that, and then where there are floors, you just want these small walls, thin walls like that, and that'll be good. Probably connect this if you are doing it just a bit more to give it more structural support. But yeah, if you were building a bait and switch, that's how you'd go about it. But I am just going to go for the standard build that we've done with the other ones. So what that looks like is like this. If I do see in the future any issues, you know, with these amplifier builds, I will let you know. Do check the comments for that, just in case. But yeah, just the standard build for this, like so. And yeah, there you go. That's all your structures placed, and I'll go ahead and level this up and get to the traps. So I will see you very shortly. Lovely stuff. Now that you've got that stuff leveled up, I did miss a wall. I apologize. We can go ahead and put the traps in. So starting by the amplifier, we're going to go ahead and pop carpet traps on the floor. And to be honest, I'm going to do it on all of them apart from this one ramp. I want them just to be slowed, not to be fully stopped, so that, as I say, they get hit by the wall launcher as they come up. Now, for these walls, what I'm going to do is put, we'll put it there for this. Actually, no, we'll put it on that one. Actually, never mind. The reason I'm putting on this one and not this one is less of the wall is obstructed on this one, just because it's not actually inside the ground. And then on this side, we can do some damage if we want. You can do this as well. Just be wary that this wall launcher is going to knock them out here, so you might want to get rid of that, just so they don't have stuff obstructing them as they come up. On this side, we can do broadsides. I got my 106 traps. I can't place it. Once you've upgraded it, I think, is when you can't place stuff on it. On these walls, we will go launcher, so I want a durability launcher. We're going to have to get rid of that wall, no problem. All the way up here, durability. And then at the end over here, we can do more of an impact one. So I can go to my 106, which has 2 durability, 2 reload, and 2 impact. As we make our way through here, by the way, this wall here you can get rid of. If you notice any enemies sort of getting knocked into it, feel free to get rid of it. It's not completely necessary. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it just because, you know, it's only adding a little bit of damage down here. It's really not worth it, I don't think. So yeah, just get rid of that. Berry. On these two here, we will go for broadsides to do huge damage as they come through. On the ceilings, I'll start up here because on the top we want... oh, actually, it was there. 106 gas traps on these. So gas traps in the main tunnel. We'll do this one as ceiling electric field, and then we can place the rest while we're here. So the ceiling electric fields are going to be in places that are sort of next to the tunnel up here. So all these ones, and then even that one. And then the rest will be tire drop trap. The reason being, these ones won't affect the ground, but they will zap into the enemies up here. It might be worth changing this one out for a tire drop trap. Reason being is that it's not going to affect too much coming up here like this one does, but the enemies are all going to be walking past here, you know, to get back up the ramp when they go out to this area. So I think it's useful to have that one as a tire drop trap. Then for the remainder of these traps up here, over here I said we'll do broadsides here to do maximum damage. As again to this area, we want to do wall dynamos on the low walls, like this, which will do huge damage. And then at the back on these, we will get wall darts. So get that placed on those ones, and on that one. Now, it's not going to go over this ramp as well, so what you can do is just do that. Oh, there's a wall underneath there, a floor even. And yeah, that will then fire through, and this will act still as a blockade for those coming up. I just realised I didn't upgrade these down here. The only reason I'm showing this is because you might have forgotten as well, just to remind you guys to do that. Right, now that we're up here, I also added this blockade behind the end just to discourage smashers from charging. It's not overly necessary because we have the tar pits to stop that anyway, but I just thought I'd point that out. Now, all that's left to do really is to block these. So for these ramps here, we're going to put wall spikes with healing on these ones, and then on the rest, we're going to do wall darts. I would have loved to do broadside on these, but there's too large a gap here. It's four blocks gap. The cannons just won't ping back and forward as much as they would on the other direction. Well, What you also can do is get like a wall here with some sound trap on. Maybe even there, actually, would be good. Just to really hit everything that comes through this area. What you can also do is add another ramp with, you know, wooden floor spikes on. You can even put one at the bottom of the ramp here. This one won't last as long. And as I said, you can place them down there if you want. But this stuff is just optional. Apart from the sound trap, make sure you get the sound trap there. We really need to make sure no exploders go up. But yeah, these floors are optional. Now what we can do is place the tire drop traps. I always say it wrong. What we're going to do as we place these is just face the ramp as opposed to facing the amplifier. This will mean that enemies get pushed back into this area. Like this. These ones at the very back are not going to affect as much stuff. So it's not overly necessary. It's more of a lobber shield, but I'm going to place traps on them anyway. And then on these back ones, I'm going to face towards the amplifier on these ones. And as we make our way up the ramp, these all want to be facing the amplifier to knock the enemies back down the hill. That's the most effective way to have those. And once again, you know, you can add stuff in this area. You can add a wall here, have broadsides. It's really going above and beyond stuff that you really don't need. Because it is Plankerton after all, and this is a recycle build, so it's not overly necessary. But there you go. That's the build. That's all the traps placed, and you're good to go. The only thing we need to do now is just add some to the amplifier here, so I'm just going to get the floor spikes on these. Alternatively, if you want, you can place the anti-air traps. Oh, you can't even place them on ramps. I didn't even know that. I've never tried to do it before. But yeah, you might want some anti-air traps around here just for in case flingers do find an angle. It's not overly necessary. You can build a lobber shield as well. There's that area over there they might be able to fling through, but we will be building that and covering it when it comes to Amplifier E. But once again, if you don't have this amplifier, you might just want to block. That's the wrong set of stairs, but you know, just block this area here to make sure they don't have an angle to the amplifier. But as I say, you can add some more just around the base here to make sure that nothing gets through. But yeah, there you go. And now we're going to work on the south with the flickering bit of grass. That's really annoying. So sadly, we can't do the same sort of thing we did at the west because there's not really enough room to push them off and come back down. What you could do if you really wanted to try, I haven't tested it, but you could place wall launchers up here and then have them, you know, knock down here. You'd have to mess with all that stuff though, so I don't really advertise that. So what they're going to do is they're going to spawn back here, and we have blocked off this other ramp over here when we did the other direction. We can add wall spikes to these if necessary, but I really don't think it will be because this route to the amplifier is very direct. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring them up this side of the ramp and just block this side off like so. You probably don't need to do all these block offs, but we're going to add them anyway. And yeah, we're going to allow them to come up. We're going to allow them to come up this ramp, and then at the top we will just sort of zigzag them towards the objective, and we can do some extra damage up here as well. But for the actual ramp itself, we're going to add walls either side as they come up like so. And it's up to you whether you want to do the ceiling here and continue it this height all the way across, or start it on this one. I'm going to do it at 2 high up as opposed to 3. But as I say, you can continue it from 3 and do the tar pit traps as we usually do. It's up to you which you want to go for. In fact, actually, I'm going to go for 3, and I'll explain why. So the reason being is that as I go up to the cliff here, I'm not going to need to, you know, have it right next to the cliff top here like this where they could walk on. It just means there's less reason for them to want to come up this side, you know. So I think that's quite important, and that's the reason for that. But going back to the main tunnel, we've got our way down to the bottom now here. So as we come up to the ramp, we will add walls here as well, because we can do stuff in there. And you can even do extra damage while we're down here. So, you know, there's a few things you can do. You can do this and have broadsides coming between them, because the spawn is, you know, further back here. You can place stuff in this area and it won't get destroyed. You could have a wall here, for example, which will make it so that enemies have to go around here. Then we can do a bit more damage as they come through. You can also have spikes on the... I just broke something when I placed that. I don't know what it was. But yeah, you can place spikes on the ramps coming up. I do generally avoid that for the case of exploders, but we'll allow it on this one. But yeah, you probably don't need it. You know, we are in Plankerton after all. We really don't need too much going on here. But just for the sake of having a bit of fun, you know, I'm going to go ahead and add this extra stuff. And I'm going to stop it there. I'm not going to go any further than that, because I think they will get broken by the spawn. There's a chance these might, so if they do, we can take them out. But this allows us to put broadside traps here, which will do huge damage. We could do a wall darts here or a wall launcher, either or. In fact, you could do a wall launcher here if you wanted and have that open. And then on the back side of this, we can put a sound trap to, as I say, make those exploders drop their propanes. You know, you could add extra floors, but we'll avoid doing that. Let's go ahead and finish the trap tunnels at the top here. So we're going to do our usual method when we have this sort of area and do extra damage this way. And let's see. We'll keep it like that, and we'll just allow the enemies to come out here to get into the amplifier. So what I'm going to do is just... You can either do this as a full wall or a low wall. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to add these to stop the enemies from wanting to break out. And then what we'll do is have some full walls. What we can also do is add floors here as extra mitigation to stop enemies from breaking through. Same here. And we can do it here as well. Though this one I think is really unnecessary. Because, you know, they're just coming straight forward. I really don't think they'd want to break through this area. This one a bit more so because we have all this build here. I think it's more important. But obviously, if you do see any action here of them trying to break through, definitely add, you know, some in there. If you don't see anything, then you don't need to add it. That's basically, that's basically that. Then while we're up here, we can place ceilings across this entire thing. Like so. At this point, we're going to be doing gas traps to really damage, you know, mini bosses, smashers, that type of thing that make it here. So apart from those, there's not really much you need to do. What else can we do up here? You can block this off. You don't really need to. I mean, yeah, I can't see any reason why you'd need to have it closed, apart from just putting a wall darts trap on it. As I say, you can add more block offs here if you need to by having ramps like this. The wall darts that we place at the back will go through these, but I really don't think you'll need them. But again, if you do see enemies trying to break through this area, just add those in. But for now, I think that should be plenty for the traps. The only other thing you might want to do is at the top of the ramp here, you might want to make this a full wall, just so that we can add a wall launcher on it to knock them back down here. And if you are going to do that, I'd probably recommend getting rid of that wall, just to allow them to go further down. You can get rid of that one as well, but I think it's fine leaving it in. But I'll leave that up to you guys, whether you want to close it off or not. You know, if you have it open, when enemies get hit by this, they'll go all the way down to here, and then have to go back up again. So it's up to you which way you want to go about it. Having that like that means that we can't put a wall darts here, but that's fine. We can still do it on that wall, and we'll still have an effective build that way, so don't worry about that. Now, you could make this a full wall as well if you want, you know, to knock enemies back here. Again, I'll leave that up to you. I'll probably do it as a full wall myself, just to add a bit to it. And then extra things you can add is like a thin wall here to make their path longer to get hit by this wall launcher. You could do it here as well if you want. It's up to you whether you want to use the extra structures, extra structures or not. Same thing you can do down here, you know, with those thin walls if you want, but I mean at this point I really don't think it's necessary down here. Now I just want to get back on top of the trap tunnels to place the rest of the ceiling. So on this side, there's not really much need to cover this bit here. The only concern might be that enemies might try break through to get an angle at the amplifier. So if you want, you can place it over there just to be on the safe side. And then what we'll do is just go around here like this. At this point, it's up to you how far back you want to go and how far to the side you want to go. I don't think you need to go this far to the side for traps at least, but we might just leave it in for the lobber shield side of things. And then once we get this far, you don't really need to go as far out wide. It's up to you. As I say, if you need structures back, if you don't have as many resources, that type of thing, you can limit how much you place down here. This is quite a lot, and you could add an extra row at the back if you want, because as I say, the spawn is quite far back. That's up to you. You know, you might want to place 4 at the back. Maybe we will do that, just because I can. You know, I've got the resources for it because I've been saving up and you know, playing the game. So we'll go ahead and put that final one in. But once you have that, that's really, really over the top. Now, the only other thing you might need to take care of is this pit down here. The enemies can drop down, and flingers and lobbers and the like might try get into this area to aim at the amplifier. All we're going to do is we're going to have anti-air traps for that. But if that is not your style, if you don't have anti-air traps, any of the above, feel free to just expand the ceiling across this area. You know, you can just start from here and build out a nice area to stop them from flinging up. I'll leave that up to you, but for now, as I've got a perfect 4,000 metal, look at that, that's lovely. I'm going to go ahead and level all this stuff up, and then I will get back to you with the trap placement, so I'll see you shortly. Stuff, now that you've got that stuff leveled up to tier 3, make sure it's all leveled up. We need this beautifully built to be able to AFK the endurance. So we can go ahead and place the traps. So starting at the amplifier here, we're going to start with some, I've said start like 5 times. We're going to start with some tire pit traps all the way through here, and then for the rest of them we're going to go for wooden floor spikes all the way through here. Now in these walls down here, again, it's optional to have them, and it's optional for the traps you want to put on them. You can put wall darts on the back here. These probably aren't going to last too long because every time something spawns they're going to shoot, so it's up to you. On this one, as I say, we can put a durability wall launcher. So 4 durability on that bad boy, 1 reload, 1 impact. That will send stuff out that comes from the middle. Obviously stuff that comes in at the side, like over here, isn't going to get affected by that. That's fine. You can make this a wall launcher to have the same effect, get rid of this wall. But for what we've got, we're going to do broadsides on both of these walls. We'll have broadsides at these sides as well. And then at the back here, we're going to have our sound traps to get rid of those splody boys. We also want a sound trap as we come up here, so we're going to have to break this wall again for that. And then I think we might have to... Oh no, we're fine for this one because it's not next to a actual piece of land. So as we come up the ramp, we're going to do broadsides on the walls at the sides. Feel free to add another sound trap if your perks aren't fantastic on this. You know, feel free to add another one of those. And then at the top as well, broadside traps. These are going to do huge damage, and the beauty of these is as they trickle, they'll roll down the ramp and damage stuff as it comes up. So love that about the broadside traps. While we're up here, we can add the wall dynamos. So these will go on all of these low walls in this area of the trap tunnel. And then we can switch to wall darts. So any of these walls that point in to the trap tunnels, we can put wall darts on. So like these 2, and then at the back here, these 2. For the ceilings, once we're at the top, so make sure you are stood on the tar pit. We're going to do gas traps through the center of this tunnel, and then at the sides we can do ceiling electric field to zap inwards, like that. Over here we're going to put... it's up to you whether you want to go for durability or impact on this one. I'm going to go for the impact build because so much stuff is going to die just to spawn. In fact, majority of stuff is. So it's not overly important. And then again for this one we'll do... you know, on all of these we'll just do full impact ones to slow down mini bosses, that type of thing. And then I think that covers all of the traps up here. So all that's left now is to place the tire drop traps. So I might need to craft some more here actually, but on all of these ceilings, those ones there are just for lobber shield, so don't need to place them on there. Same with that one, and that one you don't really need to place a trap on because enemies aren't really going to walk there. But for the rest of them, we're going to place the tire drop traps as we are facing the amplifier. As I'm placing these, I'm realizing how over the top we've gone with this as I get to this back strip, but I don't care. It's AFK Endurance. We want a lot of stuff in here, so, you know, sue me. On these ones, we're going to knock them to the side on these. And then in the middle, we will knock them backwards. Here, we'll knock them backwards. And here. And then on this one, it's dealer's choice, left or right. It's up to you. You make the decision. Lovely stuff. And then once that's done, I think everything's built and ready to go. The only thing you might need to do, as I say, is add a lobber shield over this area. But if you are relying solely on air traps, that took a weird turn, didn't it? If you're relying on the anti-air traps, just plop some of those down up here. And those will deal with any of that. Obviously, add more or take away, depending on your arrangement with the game and how much luck you have, I guess. But yeah, that'll do it for the build. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely stick around, like, comment, and subscribe for the future builds. I'm going to do brief builds on the extra amplifiers that I don't have placed down, just to briefly show where you would build. We are now on the E amplifier, which I bear in mind this may not be the same amplifier for you. So on my map, it is the one to sort of, well, between the west and southwest amplifiers. So obviously this might not be your amplifier. If it isn't, obviously skip this video unless you're just curious. Would definitely appreciate you watching if you are curious, but obviously you don't need to. I will make a brief video on the other amplifiers. So there's one down there. There's one over there as well. Just going over how you would build for those, should they be your last amplifier. So definitely check out the Plankerton playlist for that, or, you know, check out the description for the link to it. But yeah, I'm assuming that you, if you're still here, that you have this amplifier. The beautiful thing about this one is the only permanent spawn it has is the west direction. So once you've got these two amplifiers placed down next to it, you don't get any more spawns. Before that you do, but they're a lot easier because it's, you know, just low storm shield defense waves. So the spawn is going to be right back there just after this lower hill. What we're going to do is bring them up this hill, and towards the amplifier, because that's the only way they've got to get up here. Obviously there's a ramp over here, which is covered by our amplifier D, and the other direction is, I guess, through that tunnel and round. There's not really another direction to go, but we can block it anyway up here once we get to it. But yeah, as I say, the main build is going to be bringing them up this ramp. So what we're going to do is bring them up this back side of it. So here, and we're going to be bringing them up here. I don't know, I've just started using ramps on ramps now. Sue me, I don't know. For this side, we're going to block the amplifier. Hello, words are hard. We're going to block this side of the ramp for the enemies so they can't come up. Then what we're going to do is add a wall here. We're going to have a wall launcher, and then this will fling them down here. I have got rid of this block off. We had it previously, but that was just temporary until we got onto this build. So any enemies that want to roam around there, that's fine. You know, they can die to them, or they can come up here and die to this build. Either way. And then what we can do here is have a wall here, which will then send them down this ramp. On the ramp as well, we want this sort of thing going on. In fact, we can probably get rid of the back one because of this wall launcher. We want them to be able to fling all the way down. So yeah, don't place that. Once we're up here, there's a few things you can do. So if you don't want to use a wall launcher here, you can put another wall for broadsides, or you can have a low wall here and have wall dynamo with wall darts behind it. But obviously, if you are doing the same as me, this is going to be a wall launcher, and we're just going to slow them here, send them out, and they'll go down there. And then as they come through here, as I say, this will be a wall launcher as well. So what we'll do is just extend that slightly. Now we need to make sure they don't want to break through this, so we're just going to add a ramp like that, and then a ceiling and a roof on top. to stop the enemies from wanting to go up this side of the ramp. And then once they get to the top, we're going to add another wall with another wall launcher. It's a wall launcher build. And then on the sides of these, we can just add walls. So this wall launcher up here, if you have enough impact on it, should send them all the way down to there. So instead of using durability on that one, we're going to use full, impact. We'll do the same on this one. This one can be a durability one, but I'll cover it when it gets to the other thing. You can't see, but I just did like a hand wave. Once again, you can place a ramp on this ramp if you want. It's up to you. You don't really need it. And once again, I was against it in the past, so if you don't want to use it, don't use it. We're just going to make sure this side is blocked off, and we are going to just build block-offs as well. You might think this is a bit over the top and unnecessary, but bear in mind that flingers and lobbers would love this space here to be able to target the amplifier. So this just stops them from breaking through. This area here, you can't really do much with it, which is a bit of a shame. But I mean, we can place ceilings over it, so we're not going to leave it truly without anything. But yeah, once we get up here, we can do this, and then at this point, we can do a low wall here. Keep the ceilings going. Go towards the amplifier. Have a wall there with another launcher on it. Have this going like that. What we're going to do is put wall darts at the back as we've done in the past. You can add extra blockage behind this to stop them from wanting to break through. Same with the cone. You can add a cone like that. Wall darts will go through it, and it'll act as more deterrent for them to not break through this wall. You can do the same thing behind this one, although we're getting close to the amplifier now, so it may trigger smashes. So you can get rid of that if you need to, if you are seeing that. But yeah, we can do this, have another low wall and floor, and then at this point we're just allowing them in, so doesn't really matter too much what we do there. Now, the only thing you might want to do is extend these with some thin walls like we have in the other ones. It's up to you whether you want to or not. Probably don't need them, but since we have so many structures, and might as well just place them. But again, it's up to you. You don't need to. For this area, we can place ceilings across the entire thing because we can use ceiling electric fields to zap inwards into the tunnels. So once again, here we can do it across this, and even one here if you want. It will also act as a flinger shield, obviously, for the flingers and lobbers. At this point, when we get to the ramp, I'm not going to go to the side here. I don't think they'll have an angle. We can just add it just in case, actually. And then you might want to add it here, just to cover them standing in that spot. But we won't be putting traps on those ones specifically. It's mainly just to block, obviously, the as I said, the flingers and lobbers. Now, once you've got that placed, you can extend it very slightly if you want. I don't know why I dropped down, to be honest. So it's up to you how far you want back you want to go. I'm just going to repeat the same as what we did on the other one. And these ceilings here are pretty over the top. Down here, they're really not going to go in this area. It's mostly just to cover flingers, lobbers, and also I haven't even got the warning for structures anywhere near yet, so why not, eh? Why not? You can add extra walls here with wall darts and such if you wish. You really don't need it, but obviously it's up to you. I'm not going to control what you do. You can add another wall here. You can add one there. You can add more floors around here. You can probably get away with some. It's not really necessary. This one we're going to have a wall launcher on just for even more extra, mitigation there. So we can add like another wall there, thin wall to make them walk further. You can do a sound trap here, which is lovely. You could even put one there if you want, a sound trap on this to get any enemies coming from this side. That's up to you if you want to do that or not. I'll leave that up to you. I'm just going to place it anyway, though. And then, yeah, you can add more. You can add less. It's up to you. depending on your preference. But we're really getting into like extra levels now. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that comment saying like, this is over the top, you know, it's only Plankerton. And you're right, honestly, but I don't really care, because I really enjoy building trap tunnels and coming up with the designs and all that stuff, so I like to get carried away with it, you know. What I didn't realise is the spawn for Amplifier E here is actually all the way back here, right at the edge of the cliff. So if you really want to, you can actually add traps here to deal with stuff. So what I wanted to do was just add a sound trap here, just as an extra precaution against the propanes. They'll drop their propane tanks here. This probably won't last forever though, obviously, because everything's going to come up past this. But you know, you can add traps in this area as well if you want. The build worked perfectly. There's nothing wrong with it. You can extend the tire traps back if you want. But you know, we're in Plankerton. You're going to be fine. I just wanted to point out, because I showed the spawners back here when I started the video, and that was incorrect, so I apologize for that. It is further back down here. So as I say, you can extend the roof out if you want, but you know, this works just as fine. It just means they walk a bit before they get affected by it. So just to let you know, basically. For here, you don't really need to block this ramp off or anything, because nothing's going to make it there. So once we've got that, the only thing left to do is build our amp design that we've done for the rest. So just like this. It's a bit less important in this one because there's only one direction, but I'm just going to build it anyway, just because it looks nice more than anything else. And that should be good. So now you can go ahead and level all this stuff up, and I will show you which traps to place where. See you in a second. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you are enjoying the video, please do let me know in the comments. But also, I am on the Supporter Creator Program, so if you could please use my code CAMEG, and be sure to subscribe as well to get all future videos. Thank you so much. And now that you've got that stuff leveled up, we can go ahead and put some traps in this thing. So, by the objective here, we're going to go for tar pit traps to stop the enemies in their tracks, the smashers, mini-boss, that type of thing. Make sure they are not, you know, making it any further. On the ramp, we're going to do wooden floor spikes, and we will do the same on this ramp. And at the bottom here, just as a little bit of extra damage as they come through. Now, on these two, what I'm going to do is keep the tar pit traps to really stop the enemies and make sure they get knocked down. I'm going to go back up here to place the rest of the traps up here, though. So on these, we're going to have wall launchers. So on all the ones facing in the right way. There. We're going to have wall launchers on those. In the back walls, where they're looking into the tunnels but aren't quite next to, you know, the actual tunnel itself, we're going to do wall darts to shoot inwards. So we'll do that on this one as well. And yeah, on this one we can do broadsides because it'll ping back and forward. And then on all the low walls, we will do wall dynamos, because that's the only trap you can pop on those. I'd love to see them add another trap that you can add to low walls like that, other than the wooden wall spikes, because that would be interesting. Could place a wall there, by the way. I didn't place it in the initial build, but we can put a trap on there, which I'll just do now with the broadside. Finally, for this top bit, we'll put the ceiling traps. So gas trap in the central lanes where the enemies will be walking, and then in these side pouches we will do ceiling electric fields to zap inwards, and then over these stairs here, and in fact through most of this outside area, we will be doing tire drop traps. So I have one left. Let's craft some more. Let's go ahead and craft 50 of these. Yeah. So when I said most, the ones where it's like to the side, like here, for these ones we will be placing ceiling electric fields, as those will zap inwards to the trap tunnels. They go down 2 blocks, the zap, so it's really useful to have those and get a bit of extra damage where they wouldn't, you know, usually be able to have any. Then for these ones, we'll go back to our tire drop traps. So for these, I'm just going to knock the enemies backwards down the ramp here as we place them, and at the bottom Oh, that ceiling's too high up, isn't it? It's 4 blocks, I just realised. So what we need to do for those ones, apart from the ones we've already placed, apologies for that, but these ones are going to need to be changed. So let's just go ahead and do that. That one's more for blocking flingers anyway. But yeah, that's got a trap on it, that's got a trap. So this one, and this one. We'll get all those back. Much apologies for that. We will continue the traps from here instead. Yeah, I didn't even clock that they were too high up when I was placing them. That's just me being stupid. Yeah, apologies. So we're going to go as far back as this one again, and then bring it across, like so, all the way across here. And we'll stop there. Now you can go one further back on this if you want. It's probably really not necessary to, go any further back than that, because at that point we're not really covering any spawn. So I'm going to leave it as it is here, and I'll continue placing them down as we were. Bearing in mind these aren't fully leveled up, but that's fine. On this one here, I'm going to use a ceiling electric field, so this is just above the bottom of this ramp. This will zap into the ramp itself. And then these two up here are just for, as I say, flingers and lobbers. This one's not over anything useful, but this one here that I am looking at now, which is above the entrance, we will place to knock them out. And then on all the rest of them, yeah, we're gonna place these like so. Just placing these on all the rest of them while facing the amplifier. Like that. This one here is a bit over the top, but you can still place it. That's fine. And yeah, as I said, you can add an extra layer behind if you want, but we're getting really far back now, and there's not going to be many spawn this far back. But it's up to you, if you want to add an extra layer of them, I'm not going to stop you. As we come in here, this is where we want our sound traps. So on these two, we will add wall darts here to fling in. These two here can be wall darts, just do a bit of extra damage there. Just no biggie. Over here we want a durability launcher, and on this first one up here, this wants to be a durability launcher. As the enemies come up, obviously we've got sound trap there. You might want to put another sound trap somewhere like there, just to be on the safe side. And then on this side we can place broadside on these as well, and these. And then if you want to place extra walls here, you can do for the broadsides. You can place traps in this bit if you want, but I'd probably advise against it. We don't want to mess with the launchers doing their bit. And then the last thing to do is on this ramp, place those. And yeah, that'll do it. So yeah, apologies for the ceiling, but other than that, we've got everything placed down that we need to. Just need to place some traps on here if we want. So for the ramp ones, we will add wooden floor spikes like this. And then on the top, we will place anti-air trap and just a few around as well. But yeah, that'll cover the build. Lovely stuff. As always, thank you so much for watching. As I say, if you have got to this point and you didn't actually have this amplifier, I really appreciate it. Definitely check out the other videos, because I'm going to do alternate builds for this. But yeah, if you've made it this far, obviously you've got a full build now, ready to AFK the trap tunnels. Let me know how it goes. As long as there haven't been any updates that you haven't missed, you'll be good to go for your rewards. So definitely drop a like, comment, and subscribe to thank me for that. But yeah, there you go. Cheers for joining me on the journey. Thank you so much for, coming in and watching. And I will see you in the next video in Canny, probably. Thank you so much.